eastern seaboard. The storm is now soaking the mid-Atlantic region, including the Washington, D.C. area, and it has its sights set on portions of Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York State. New England also bracing for possible heavy weather. This year's largest of California's wildfires continues to scorch timber in hot, tinder-dry conditions. The Park Fire has burned more than 660 square miles since July 24th. Starting near the Sacramento Valley city of Chico, it's burning northward up the western flank of the Sierra Nevada. Watching Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are now down 4 points, while the NASDAQ futures are up 45, S&P futures 6 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-511-1551. 800-511-1551.
What does it take for organizations to triumph? It takes trust. But trust is getting harder and harder to gain, which is why over 2,700 organizations display the ECFA seal. The ECFA seal gives your organization the third-party credibility that people are literally looking for. And in turn, an estimated 14 million givers support ECFA-accredited organizations. Let us help you maintain a trusted reputation as you reach the world for...
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice Friday on tap. A few clouds around this morning, but very pleasant temperatures and low humidity. The high this afternoon, 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. How about 80 on Saturday with some morning lows in the 50s Saturday morning in some of the cooler spots. Lots of sunshine around on Saturday. A little cloudy on Sunday and 82 degrees. Looks like the rain chance holds off until next week. Enjoy your weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. With the average funeral bill being over $9,000, are your loved ones prepared? Call 314-866-8886 or memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
Spend the weekend in Mount Vernon, Illinois. Every weekend, enjoy festivals and events, including Thursday Night Live at Cedarhurst, Market Days Back to School Bash, Hand Up Summit, Historical Village Ice Cream Social, Zombie Outbreak at the Haunted Woods, citywide yard sales, third Saturdays in Mount Vernon Flea Market and Vendor Fair, concerts at the Granada Theater, special events at C.E. Brem Memorial Library, Cedarhurst Blues, Brews, and Bourbon, Cool Up at the Aquatic Zoo, and so much more. Creativity redefined in Mount Vernon. Visit enjoymountvernon.com. Brought to you in part by Mount Vernon Tourism and Enjoy Illinois.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL for a little fun with finance. We'll talk about taxes, the economy, finance, and most importantly, how to enjoy the lifestyle you deserve.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Tune in on Sunday and visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of my book, The New Holistic Retirement. That's serenitynowtax.com.
Serenity Now! Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson.
It's a miracle we're not in prison.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
Are you kidding me?
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
You know, I mentioned yesterday that my personal preference here is to tread lightly when it comes to topics of, military culture. So let's ask somebody who's been there and done that about the accusations of, so-called stolen valor against Governor Tim Walz, even though he served in uniform for a very long time in the National Guard. So is politics behind a lot of this? Probably. But like I said yesterday, at least one of my friends who retired from the Army, he really had something to say, and he's not really a political guy. So we'll get into that here in just a minute. Don't forget, we are live and local conservative talk number one for it in St. Louis all weekend long. We've got the Randy Tobler Show tomorrow morning from 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Hey, producer Jerome, you ever heard of that show?
Yeah, Dr. Tobler is a pretty funny guy, and he's got a pretty cool producer as well.
There you go. The producer actually has his own T-shirt.
That's what I hear. Oh, yes, he does. That's right.
Does.
Nice.
Jerome's in for Stell today, and if you're watching this on streaming, you've got a T-shirt that shows what Jerome's looks like on Jerome. So in case you want a second opinion, you've got it right there.
Exactly.
All right. Joined now by Paul Curtman. Paul, hey man, great to chat with you. What a wild week in news. Let's see what we can get covered here in the next several minutes on this. But I want to go to your military perspective here. You've got the accusations against Governor Tim Walz, served for a long time in the Guard,
like 20 plus years.
I think it's 20 or 21 years. Retiring in 2005 when he was getting ready to run for office. So there's no accusation that he did anything illegal. There's no accusation he did anything unethical by the rules. But of course, he made the statement that, I carried these weapons of war into war when he was never actually deployed into a conflict or war zone. Okay. From the 10,000 foot level, for somebody who's been there, been in the war zone, been in that situation, what's the right assessment of Tim Walz's claims and his service?
Hey, good morning, guys. So this is going to be a little bit trickier because it's so hyper political now.
Right.
You have to learn what real stolen valor is, and you have to understand what that means and why it became an issue in the first place several years ago. And you also have to understand that politicians sometimes use rhetoric that it's easy for people who don't like those politicians to take and run with, and we can also have a way of twisting things too. I'll put it this way. I'm going to try to see if I can sum this up. When I was at the Marine Corps ball, probably back in 2006 or 2007, we had a table full of old Marines, really old Marines, and they had served in World War II and in Korea. And one of them there, they announced him, they called his name. And then about 2 weeks later, I saw a picture of him getting arrested. And it turns out he was at a table talking about war stories and battles. And some of the Marines that were there were like, wait a minute, we were in those battles and that doesn't sound right. And it turns out this guy never served in the Marine Corps at all. Here he is, like 80 years old, never served in the Marine Corps at all. He had joined the Marine Corps League. He had been telling people that he had won some Navy Crosses and Silver Stars, and none of it was true. It was all fabricated. Now that is stolen valor for real. Somebody talking about when you have a career Army man and he says something in a political speech about AR-15s and says, I want to ban the weapons of war that I carried into war. That could really be just more hyperbole and rhetoric for campaign purposes, but it does certainly come across as a claim that he went into a war zone and that he has a combat action ribbon or a combat action badge. And so this is where guys who are have served in the military, but now are also serving in politics, have to really, really be careful about the way they speak, because even though it might seem like a really insignificant thing, even to them as a veteran or as a service member, it is really going to be used as a significant piece of rhetoric by anybody else who's wanting to lobby these accusations at them. And so I can understand how somebody would say something like that. I mean, we're not talking about a guy who's telling people, hey, he won a Navy Cross. We're talking about a guy who's working his way in politics against the Second Amendment, and he uses rhetoric like that. So I think that this is why people who serve have to be really careful with their language. Take the other example for Tim Walz, right? On his website, it says he retired as a command sergeant major. Well, you see, in the military, you understand that you can have the rank of sergeant major, but sometimes you don't have that rank, but you do fulfill the role of a command sergeant major. And so people that haven't served aren't going to understand the differences there. And so the difference between having retired as a command sergeant major and having served as a command sergeant major when you retired, that's a really, really big difference when you serve in the military. So you got to be really careful. So they have to make one adjustment on the website. I would not necessarily say that that's stolen valor. I would say this just further explains why you got to be so careful about your rhetoric. And so I don't know what else he has said he has done. There might really be a case of stolen valor out there. And if that is, that's a really, really big deal. There was a Navy commander back about 24 years ago, got caught wearing the wrong ribbon on his stack of ribbons and badges. And when he got called out for that, it was really just an administrative error. They said that he earned those ribbons and he actually didn't. So he went ahead and wore the ribbons. But then it was such a big deal for him that he shot himself in the head on his lunch break one day.
Oh my God.
So yeah, the ideas of stolen valor, I think we need to call people out when it's real, but we need to be very careful about calling people out if it's not real.
Okay, so real quick follow-up question, because I know Gabe's got something for you, Paul, and that is, do we also risk trying to make partisan hay and political and electoral gains out of it? And do we, and I say we because at this point we're talking about conservative medias and Republicans and all that, do Republicans risk also being disrespectful and abusing it by trying to jump on something like this, especially for those people like me who have never been in uniform?
Yeah, I think we need to be really careful about that. I think we do risk that. If you go to YouTube or you go to social media, there's a lot of subcultures where people take the stolen valor thing. And like there are certainly cases where it's real and it's true. Like the Marine I was telling you about, when someone tries to say that they have earned the right to your respect because of their service or the medals that they won, and if they didn't, that is stolen valor. But it's not stolen valor if a 19-year-old kid is walking around the mall wearing a camouflage jacket. That's not stolen valor. That's a 19-year-old kid walking around the mall wearing a camouflage jacket. But when you go to YouTube or if you look on Instagram, you will see that there are people that go after 19-year-old kids for wearing camouflage, saying, you didn't serve, you shouldn't wear that. And that's just stupid. And so when you go too far, then you undermine the whole point of calling people out for stolen valor, because people's service is such a very sacred thing for the American people. We don't want to mock it by actually going after 19-year-old kids wearing camouflage jackets, right? But that happens all the time. And people post it on social media because they think they're doing a good thing. So to your point, Mike, we need to be very careful as Republicans. Let's be the adults, right? And make sure that we understand what stolen valor is and what it isn't. And we also need to be very discerning. Like, hey, he said he retired as a command sergeant major, but we need to understand the nuance of what that means to serve as a command sergeant major and actually hold the rank and when he retired. So they fixed it. I don't know if I have a problem with that. Now, if something comes out and it's like he's making like serious claims that there's no way you can explain away. You can't say, well, I should have said, I retired serving as a command sergeant major, whatever the case was. Well, then that's one thing. But let's not go after 19-year-old kids with camouflage jackets, so to speak.
Paul, now that that's out of the way, what do you think of him as a pick overall? I'm not sure we got a chance to talk to you about that since the Harris campaign named him as the VP. Skipping over, or at least it appearing to skip over Governor Shapiro, who seems like the more obvious pick.
Yeah. So, if I'm objectively looking at just the politics of it, just the campaigning politics of it, I don't think it was a bad pick. Now, I know he is like hyper progressive, and he and Harris are going to make the most liberal ticket ever in the history of the country. However, there's still a lot of people that were ready to vote for Donald Trump because of the mental state of Joe Biden. But if you recall, and we've talked about this before on air, guys, when everybody was pushing for Joe Biden to leave, Harris was radio silent. You could not find her. She wasn't talking. I believe that what was happening was she was being prepped. She was being groomed. They were going after her image and trying to adjust things and change things. Now, by her picking Walz, that is going to do something that she wouldn't be able to do on her own. Walz is very folksy, and people love that. And a lot of American people, they don't look at the policies so much as they look at whether or not the person's folksy. I'll give you a great example. We just had all these campaigns in Missouri for lieutenant governor and for governor. And how many people do you think put out a commercial or a mailer that showed them driving a combine through a farm field? Guess what? None of these people, listen, Missouri, St. Louis, none of these people that just ran for office and that you had a chance to vote for or against, none of them go out and drive combines through farm fields. But they put that on their mailer because they're playing off your stupidity. That's what they're doing. They're trying to convince you that there's somebody that they're not, that there's somebody that they're just not. And so Walz is going to be able to convince people, hey, I'm your folksy hometown, good old boy American. I'm a veteran. And the way he responds to Trump, I think, is going to work politically. Instead of going after Trump and trying to match him word for word and zinger for zinger, the guy just goes, that's weird. And people are going to get a kick out of that. I mean, that's like something that you might get a laugh out of if you saw that line written into a script on The Office or something. So I think that there's going to be some good political reasons why they picked him, and it's going to do a lot maybe to pull some people out of the middle back over to the left where they originally were, but I don't know if it's going to be enough.
Stolen agriculture valor.
Yes, I love it. Yeah.
All right. Hey, Paul, appreciate the discussion. I mean, normally we get into a lot of economic and stuff like that, but like I said, you've been there, you've served, you've been in the hot zones. And so I really wanted to make sure that we had that perspective, because I don't think on our, other than Larry Connors, I don't know that we have anybody who actually was in uniform on the weekday lineup here on the program. So it's crucial that we got your perspective on that. And some people are going to agree and others disagree. I mean, because Tim Walz said stuff that wasn't true. And so I wanted to make sure it was all, in that we understand the context that we should react to. I think it's fair to point out, and it's fair for JD Vance in particular to point out what you said was not true, but I want to make sure that we're staying in our lane while we're calling it out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it absolutely does. I'm going to tell you what, there's guys that have gone out there and done so much, men and women, and people's military service is meaningful to them in different ways. And there's going to be some people that find it far more offensive than others. And I think that is perfectly fine and okay, because really it's the person making the claim. It's on them it's their responsibility to make sure that they're communicating the truth. And they're communicating the truth no matter what type of context people want to put it in. They can always say, hey, I never did anything where you can accuse me of stolen valor. So to your point, Mike, people are going to feel very differently about that. Yeah. But, my position is, let's just make sure we're not running after 19-year-old kids wearing camouflage jackets.
Yeah, exactly. Truth. It's an election year. All right. Paul Curtman, good to chat with you, man. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Paul.
All right. 314-912-1019. 10 years ago today, Michael Brown got himself killed in Ferguson. There's going to be a lot about that in your news feed today. So let's talk about what we're going to see right around 6:22 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Inspiration, you have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination, making cold.
Number one for live and local
Conservative talk.
Every day, something new.
news, analysis, and opinion.
It has been the privilege of my life to serve this nation for over 50 years.
The worst president in the history of our country.
She's tough. She's capable.
Kamala Harris has been the ultra-liberal driving force behind every single Biden catastrophe.
We face a choice.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
There's the old way of looking to buy a house or find a great neighborhood to live in, and then there's the best way to do it. The old way was you would look at the weather forecast this weekend and go, it's a nice day. Let's go ahead and go and drive around and see where those for sale signs are. Hey, what would be the place you want to live? And you go there and you just start driving around. Well, first of all, now that could get you somebody calling the cops on you at this day and age, but it's also inefficient because what you're doing is putting yourself behind the eight ball when it comes to competing for that house. And make no mistake, the interest rates are coming down on home loans. And so it is going to get even more competitive for these homes. That's why you've got to have my friends Rodney and Jen on your side. Mike Ferguson here for the Walner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway. The first call you should make, even before you go take your drive to look around for the for sale signs, because the worst thing you could do is find that for sale sign and say, okay, call that real estate agent. That is calling the agent representing the seller. And you're again putting yourself at a disadvantage for negotiations. Call Rodney and Jen at 314-810-SOLD. Just say, hey, Mike mentioned you on the radio. I've got a couple questions. Here's what I'm thinking about doing. And they will answer whatever questions they can right there on the spot. No contract needed. They're not going to do the thing where they're going to say, come on down to our office and here, have a cup of coffee. And they're not going to do that. They're going to hear what you're saying, give you their first impression, and then what they're probably going to do, which is what they did for me and Rachel, is they say, okay, we're going to go do some digging. We're going to give you some comparables. Let us find the information for you. You're going to be impressed by Rodney and Jen, just like I am. And so what happens is you tell them what you're looking for. You tell them what range you want to be in. Tell them why you want to be there. Tell them what you want this property to do for you. And then they go to work for you. They start fighting for you. They're licensed in both Illinois and Missouri. So if you're looking to move out of Illinois, go to Missouri. You're looking to buy investment property. You're looking to downsize, upsize, get to a different school district, get closer to work, whatever it is. Get away from that 10-year construction project on the road in front of your house, whatever it is. They are going to make it happen for you. Buying a home, remember, it's going to get more competitive. You need Rodney and Jen on your side to fight for you and guide you through a very complicated process, get you the best dollar-for-dollar deal that the market will allow. And they are very, very good at this. Looking to sell a home? Oh, my goodness. Call them today, 314-810-SOLD. They've got so many pre-approved buyers, you might not even have to list the home, especially with the direction things are going right now. And they're going to get you top dollar for your home. So once again, give them a call. Say, hey, Mike was bragging about you on the radio. Tell me what you can do. Here's my situation. And you're going to be as impressed as I am with them. Once again, 314-810-SOLD.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. The 80s.
Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the beats?
It's Flashback Friday.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
Flashback Friday, baby. All of these are requested bump music, and Stell's off today. Drums in for Stell. So I haven't the slightest idea what the bump music is.
Yeah.
He doesn't tell me anyway, but he's I couldn't even look over his shoulder the other day.
Of course, Jerome may not have any slightest idea about what any of these songs are either.
Remember these songs. Okay, I'm just going to put you on the spot. How old are you?
I just turned 29 on election night.
Okay.
Actually, yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. So some of this music's going to be new to you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I do like the classics. I'm a drummer, so
Nice.
Genesis.
Okay, yeah. Well, you're going to know Phil Collins, and he's a drummer. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So Flashback Friday.
You get some cred. That's
right. He's a drummer too. Yeah. I go to concerts.
You listen to a lot of drummers.
I listen to a lot of drummers.
You know more names of more drummers than I do.
Probably. That has to do with me being a nerd in a different way than you're a nerd.
That's true.
All right, 6:25 right now. All right, you may see a lot of fists in the air and BLM shirts this weekend. Remember those BLM shirts?
Oh, gosh.
Let's talk about why that is here in a minute. By the way, we have traded basic civics for DEI in our schools, and we wonder why so many young people are clueless about how to be a contributing member of society and being self-sustaining in their own lives.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that at 6:35.
Okay.
All right, let's do that. Real quick question here. And I want to get into this a little bit more, probably around 7:20. And I really curious what people think on social media as well. We've got the debates coming up. They're negotiating those debates. But also, Fox News just put out a report saying that there are members of the campaign team for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz who are saying, ease up on this whole press conference thing. We're not doing a bunch of press conferences. We got social media. We can talk directly to people. We don't have 2 press conferences. So that'll piss off the press.
Yeah.
But as bad as that sounds, because she's clearly ducking questions because she's bad at being put on the spot.
Very
she's
bad at it.
Bad at answering the questions because she's very vapid in her policies. And she knows it doesn't sound good. And she's not good at even messaging her own stuff. But it might be the best strategy they can come up with. And I don't know if the press eventually will get really angry about it and finally start pressuring them. I don't know that they will, because they absolutely want to run cover for this campaign.
Yeah, they wanted to win.
Yeah. So 7:20, let's get into that. You got the debates. How valuable are they? And how much do we really need? Donald Trump did a long press conference in Mar-a-Lago. Some of that was a mess.
Yeah.
Complete mess on his part. But the point that he's making is I'll take questions from anybody. She won't take questions from anybody.
Right.
And the point was made on that. Okay, so the 9 o'clock here, there's going to be a unity march, demonstration, and a memorial for Michael Brown in Ferguson.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I hate this stuff so much. I really do.
Now, I mean, you're a North County guy.
Yeah. I pass through Ferguson to get home in Florissant. I shop every once in a while in Ferguson. Actually, the famous AutoZone that was burned to the freaking ground during the riots and all that stuff, that was my AutoZone. That was where I got my parts. So yeah, it the thing is, it all started based on, first of all, a lie, the hands up, don't shoot garbage. And then, of course, and that was wrapped in this extreme racial politics that comes out of the BLM types, the racism mongers who they live off of this, the idea that black men are being hunted by the police. I've heard that rhetoric as well. And it all it does is destroy things. There's nothing good that came out of the BLM movement. There's nothing good that comes out of lifting up the various thugs and criminals who are killed by police, regardless of what they did to instigate the situation. So none of it benefits the black community. None of it certainly benefits the America at large. And yet we have these annual or
with this being 10 years,
memorial services, essentially. But I mean, that first year, the 5th year, and the 10th year are always going to be these gigantic puff pieces looking at the impacts and all the people who missed so and so, and the memorials and the George Floyd golden casket funerals that are basically just Democratic campaign stops. I can't stand any of this stuff. So the fact that they're bringing up this 10-year thing and calling it a memorial for a kid who tried to take a gun off a cop and got shot for it is ridiculous to me.
Yeah, 7:05. Let's go into more depth on that, because what could come out of this? Could there be another round of protesting and all that kind of stuff coming out of it because you're kind of trying to blow on the embers a little bit? Or if somebody says, let's actually dig into what happened.
Right.
I will tell you that there was one TV station's report that I read this morning. I'm like, whoa, you guys actually included some of the rest of the story?
Oh, they
I didn't expect that.
They did a rest of the story thing. That's very rare.
Yeah.
Since Paul Harvey's gone, that hardly ever happens.
Because most of what we're getting is absolute narrative driven. And I have seen so many reports locally here in St. Louis that do not mention that multiple investigations, including by the federal government, which was run by Barack Obama at the time, found that the shooting was justified and Darren Wilson acted in self-defense. And usually it's not even mentioned. It's just the unarmed black, capital B, teenager who was shot by a white police officer.
That's pretty much it. That's the narrative.
Much the narrative. And I think that's what we're going to see a lot of. But there is some narrative that's just nonsense as well that's happening. So 7:05, let's do that. All right. So part of the result of all of that is that, we're replacing basic civics, basic understanding of how local, state, federal government works, what our role is as citizens, and we're replacing it with things like DEI.
Yep.
We're replacing it with things like CRT, because critical race theory really exploded after all of Ferguson exploded. And what's the end result of that?
Yeah.
Now, campus reforms, Nicholas Giordano joins us next and gives us his take on that. He had an interesting article in the Washington Times about it. We're going to talk to you about that just ahead here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice Friday on tap. A few clouds around this morning, but very pleasant temperatures and low humidity. The high this afternoon, 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. How about 80 on Saturday with some morning lows in the 50s Saturday morning in some of the cooler spots. Lots of sunshine around on Saturday. A little cloudy on Sunday and 82 degrees. Looks like the rain chance holds off until next week. Enjoy your weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This is Katie McKinney, founder and head of school for Lafayette Academy in Lake St. Louis. Recently, we had a new second grader come to Lafayette Academy who claimed he was stupid and hated reading. Within months of using our world-class literacy program, he was reading Harry Potter and loving it. He had just not been given the right tools. This is what true education is all about. Giving our kids the tools so they can be successful. To learn more, go to LafayetteAcademy.org. That's LafayetteAcademy.org.
Hello, this is Eric from Newsteaders Fine Jewelry. If you are looking for a local family-owned jewelry store, come in and meet the Newsteaders Fine Jewelry family, a St. Louis tradition for over 60 years. Let us introduce you to unique and one-of-a-kind pieces. While here, we'd be happy to examine and professionally clean your jewelry at no charge. If it does need some maintenance, we can give you an estimate right then, and all of our repairs are done on site. Visit us at wowdiamonds.com.
Hey, St. Louis golfers, looking for a new golfing experience? Sugar Creek Golf Course was voted the most popular golf course in St. Louis. Book your tee time today at sugarcreekgolfcourse.com and join the fastest growing golf community in town, sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Hi, it's Dr. Randy Tobler, along with daughter Sammy Tobler-Gregory, a team member here at our family-owned Body of Health Direct Primary Care Practice. Sammy, what are patients telling you about their experience at Body of Health?
I can't tell you how many patients I've had come to me and tell me they just so appreciate getting to sit across the table with their doctor and chat about whatever's going on with their healthcare needs for however long they need.
Want to learn more about healthcare the way it ought to be? Schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
So Tim Walz, the Minnesota governor, who Kamala Harris chose to be her VP running mate, said he carried weapons of war, and he didn't. You know who did? Larry Connors. He'll join us Friday at 9:25.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. The 80s.
Excellent.
Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
We talk a lot about education in this country, and a lot of times we're talking about things that are in the curriculum that should not be in the curriculum, indoctrination, bias, whatever you want to call it. But what about things that should be there that are not there, that we need education to be providing in order to revive a healthy community overall? I'll explain what I mean by that here in just a moment. I'm Mike Ferguson. Thank you for staying with us here on American Viewpoints. I am now joined by Professor Nicholas Giordano, and he's with Campus Reform. And Professor, appreciate you being on the program. When I grew up, we had a civics part of our class in the 80s, and it looks like we are either falling away from a quality civics education, or schools are just done with them and they're not teaching them at all. What is it that we're missing? And then I want to get into the why is that so important part of the conversation.
Well, thanks for having me, Mike. And really, the whole crux of the matter is that we don't have civics education anymore. You know, starting in the early 2000s, we saw this major push towards the STEM program, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And it was to the detriment of understanding American government, of understanding American history. And it's had a profound impact over the last 2 decades, where we actually see that students know nothing about the country that they're living in. And we have the numbers, right? So 13% of students demonstrate proficiency in American history, and only 22% demonstrate proficiency in American government and civics. Most students cannot pass a basic citizenship exam. 6% of my students can, that's it. They can't distinguish between the United States Constitution from the Russian Constitution. They don't know the 3 branches of government, the very basics of our country. And we've seen this effect take place. Then we get into the whole diversity, equity, inclusion, and critical race theory that's been injected into the curriculums. And basically, we're witnessing civics get replaced by political activism. And this has real consequences throughout our entire society as we watch Americans withdraw from the political process. I always ask the question, how can our country survive if the majority of the people know nothing about it, know nothing about how our government works, the original intent behind the system, but most importantly, what their roles and responsibilities are within the system?
So a lot of people would argue, okay, well, that ignorance that you just described, which I completely believe is true, may be purposeful on the K through 12 education system because it's been captured by activists on the left. Why could we trust them to have a good civics program if we were to reinsert it? Because it sounds like Schoolhouse Rock cartoons on Saturday morning provided a better civics education than what we have right now.
Well, it certainly did. Right now, it's absolutely terrible. And that's part of the problem. A lot of people, they don't understand the way the curriculums are being built out from the state levels. I believe there's only 3 states out of 50 that require students to pass a citizenship exam or a civics exam in order to earn their high school diploma. So they really, the people in charge of the system, not the teachers, it's the people behind the scenes, the ones working at the state education departments that have really been in charge of what's being taught on the K through 12 level, and it's been detrimental. Now, the way I argue it is we need a robust civics program. If we look at the last 20 years of life in America, and we could go beyond that, but the last 20 years alone, what have we seen? We've seen individuals become strangers in their own country. They don't know their neighbors. We've seen the family system just completely deteriorate, where 70% of the Black community is born in single-parent households, 50% of Hispanics, and 40% of white are born in single-parent households, and those numbers are increasing. We see our pews emptying out. We see volunteerism and charity continue to decline here in the United States from the younger generations. And we have civic organizations, the Knights of Columbus, the Lions Club, the Elks. These organizations used to provide a lot of value in society, where members, it didn't matter what your political ideology was, people joined these organizations. They would take care of their members if something happened in their families. They would help out in the community. They would volunteer and give back. But you go to the meetings today, and it's all much older individuals, that these organizations are going to die out simply as the older generation begins to die out. Young people have no idea that these organizations even exist and the benefits to be socially involved in their communities. And that's why the discourse in this country has gotten so poorly. And we're not really educating students. We're simply cycling them through in the K through 12 system. And unfortunately, then they're cycled through college. And understand that once they're cycled through college, well, these are the people that are going to go back and become the teachers in the classroom that didn't get a real education. So how is it going to work out over the long term? It's going to be a disaster.
We are visiting with Professor Nicholas Giordano. He is a fellow at Campus Reform's Higher Education Fellowship, and we'll tell you in a few minutes how to get more information on that. Professor, is a good, solid civics education inherently conservative or liberal if somebody's worried about activism in the public schools that we're dealing with right now anyway, if we have a true civics education?
Well, we're living during a very bizarre time where if you preach about the Constitution, if you preach about the concept of self-government, limited government, personal responsibility, those all seem to be associated now with conservative values. But again, if we go back 20 years ago, that was just normal thinking. It wasn't right wing to think that way. It was actually pretty standard across the Democrat Party and the Republican Party. So something has gone awry. And Listen, we have to understand that the concept of self-government and personal responsibility, hard work, and merit, those are necessary to maintain a healthy republic. Unfortunately, once we see those go away, well, what we witness is this increasing culture of government dependency that threatens our freedom. We see that the initial knee-jerk reaction for a lot of Americans, regardless of political viewpoints, is that the second something goes wrong in society, they turn towards the government to solve the problem that maybe the government is not equipped in solving. And what we've seen is this idea that it's really an education system that's built on obedience and compliance to government authorities, as opposed to the idea of liberty and freedom.
Let me ask you an academic aspect of that question in the last few minutes that we've got. You mentioned, for instance, STEM being put in and a big focus on that. I don't think anybody's going to argue that STEM education is important in the current economy. Is there room for both? And if there's not, what else should be looked at for elimination to make room for civics and all of the other basics, including the new basics like STEM curriculum?
I think there is room for both. I mean, if you look at it, the United States led in innovation and advancements, both in science and mathematics. At the same time, we had a strong civics program from, 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s. And that's what propelled us to become the superpower that we became. So there is room for both. We don't have to sacrifice anything. What we have to do is get back to our roots and actually focus on what a civic education actually means. Focus on an education system that was actually founded on the premise to produce citizens that understand the value of the country they're living in, gaining appreciation, that know what American exceptionalism really means, rather than instill this sense of entitlement that exists within our society today.
Now, I'm pretty sure that most public schools are not going to embrace everything you just laid out a second ago. So what about parents at home? They're listening to our conversation right now. They want to make sure their children understand all of these basics of civics. What are some of the ways they can make sure that to educate their own children on these if the local public school or even private schools won't?
Well, that's a great question. And the answer to that is sit with your children. Read the Declaration of Independence with your children. Read the Constitution of the United States with your children. Help them understand it. Help them gain a value and appreciation for what true liberty actually is. I think it's really important because over the last several decades, parents have kind of taken a back seat. They outsourced education simply to the public school system. And the reality is that you receive an education both in the school system, but also at home as well. And I know it can be time consuming, but the Declaration of Independence is only 4 pages printed out. The Constitution of the United States, our Constitution, is the oldest codified constitution in the world, despite us being the youngest country or one of the youngest countries in the world. And our Constitution is a way of life. It explains the mechanics of how our government operates, but most importantly, it dictates to the government do, whereas most constitutions around the world tell the people what they can and cannot do. So I think we just need to get back to basics here, and we could turn this around. Instead of the sense of entitlement, we could give students a sense of purpose to lead our nation forward, and that's the only way our country truly survives.
Okay, and how do people follow up or connect with what you're working on, campus reform, or obviously the podcast that you do as well?
Anyone could go to campusreform.org, check out the phenomenal work that we're doing over there, exposing some of the biases and the activism that's going on our college campuses throughout the country. And they could also follow me at PAS Report, and visit pasreport.com.
And that's where you're going to find the podcast as well. All right, Professor Nicholas Giordano from Campus Reform's Higher Education Fellowship. Hey, this was really enlightening. I really appreciate you being on the program.
Thank you, Mike. I enjoyed the conversation.
All right, you got some thoughts on that? Let me know. I'm on X or Twitter at AVP Radio Show. Once again, thank you for making American Viewpoints part of your weekend. I'm Mike Ferguson, and we'll talk to you again next week.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Sometimes I struggle to get to sleep. My body stopped for the day, but my mind is still running. So I take ZQuil.
ZzzQuil, the world's #1 sleep aid brand, has a range of non-habit-forming products to fit you and your family's needs. Invest in a great night's sleep for the best you tomorrow.
I'm awake and ready to take on anything.
Better days start with ZzzQuil nights. Explore our products at ZzzQuil.com. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Did you know your life insurance is an asset you can sell? I'm Jay Jackson, CEO of Abacus Life. For almost 20 years, Abacus has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors just like you. And at abacuspays.com, we've created a free policy value calculator so you can find out the worth of your policy in just seconds. There are no fees and no obligations. Get real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus. Learn more at abacuspays.com.
Newstalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on Newstalk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's Stifel.com. The 80s.
Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where the beat?
It's Flashback Friday.
Josie's on a vacation far away. Come around and talk it over. So many things that I wanna say. You know I like my girls a little bit older. I just wanna use your love tonight.
Okay, 2 things. Great 80s song. Thank you to her. But if you think about it, Josie's the other woman.
Yeah. Yeah. This is a song to his mistress.
Yeah, it's literally to the side piece.
It's hilarious though. All these beloved songs that you listen to as a kid, and you don't know the lyrics, and then you're as an adult, you're actually listening to the lyrics like, oh my gosh, I was rocking out to this when I was 9.
All right. Responding to the accusation of a stolen valor, also state officials are about to do a deep dive into the St. Louis Public Schools books because there's like, where's the money? And then the I-70 series gets underway tonight. Let's dump some news on you.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
All right, here we go. Democratic vice presidential nominee and Minnesota Democratic Governor Tim Walz's campaign. They are responding to questions and accusations about his military record, and not even so much about his military record, but what he's claiming from the military record, and that's where the scrutiny is coming from. Right before boarding Air Force Two in Michigan, Vice President Kamala Harris defending her running mate. Oh, let's bring up the soundbite there. You got it?
I praise anyone who has presented themselves to serve our country, and I think that we all should.
All right, Governor Walz served 24 years in the Army National Guard before retiring in 2005. He did... basically every military person I have spoken to about this says, yeah, it looks like he retired early, 1, in order to run for Congress, but 2, in order to avoid being deployed on there. But he didn't do anything illegal or against the rules on that. And so we had a good chat with Paul Curtman a little bit ago, and that's going to be up on our podcast later on this morning. Because Paul Curtman, obviously a Marine veteran as well. I thought his take on it was a little bit surprising. It was very interesting.
Yeah, but Paul always has kind of a nuanced take. But to tell you how the public is taking all this Walz news, the number 3 trending is Walz on Twitter. Number 10 is Tampon Tim.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Can I jump in on that real quick? Then I want to hear what number 1 is. Channel 5 is doing those like fact check things,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got the yes accurate, but their headline is, yes, Governor Tim Walz signed legislation requiring tampons to be distributed in high school bathrooms.
That's a yes. That's not a fact check. That's a
right. But what they didn't say was boys' bathrooms.
Oh, they just said bathrooms.
Bathrooms.
Oh, wow.
They didn't
Okay.
say boys' bathrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ratio on that was spectacular.
11 is stolen valor, by the way.
Oh,
so,
okay.
So, yep. There you go.
All right. What was number one?
Serbia, for some reason. That might be
Gotta be an
Olympic
thing.
things,
Yeah,
I'm
gotta
sure.
be. All right. Of course, we can also criticize their policies on that side.
That'd be nice.
Just saying we can
just
do
talk
that.
about that.
You know, we haven't talked about in a while.
What?
The border.
That's a huge policy thing, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Because Walz was talking about investing in ladder companies to help get people over the wall that Donald Trump was hoping to build.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. I think.
Senator Eric Schmidt was on the Ingram angle on Fox last night.
They've created an express lane of illegal immigration from the border to Minnesota and all parts in between and coming to a neighborhood near you.
Spokesperson for the Harris Walz campaign says that, and I'm quoting here, Gabe, Governor Walz supports the bipartisan border deal and the Biden-Harris administration's executive actions on the border.
Okay, so all the stuff that's continuing to destroy the country.
Right.
All right. Yeah. All right.
Remember, that's the one where they said, okay, we'll take note and do something if the average is over 5,000 per day, but we're going to spot them 5,000 per day before we decide to take any action.
And Mike, there's so much funding for Border Patrol and stuff to help usher in more illegals into the country. By the way, that's one of the things they literally wanted to turn the Border Patrol into a concierge service for illegal aliens.
Yeah, but they support the bipartisan border.
Oh yeah, because those two rhinos who support it. Yes, bipartisan indeed.
All right, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have agreed to meet in at least one presidential debate. That's going to be on ABC next month.
Just a few days after saying there would be no debate on ABC, Trump has said yes to the September 10th face-off, and he's proposing a total of 3 debates with Harris next month.
I just look forward to these debates. I think it's very important that we have them. I hope she agrees to them September 4th, September 10th, September 25th.
Speaking at a news conference, Trump also said a vice presidential debate is planned on CBS. Greg Clugston, Washington.
The more debates between Harris and Trump, the better it is for Trump.
Absolutely. My goodness. I really want to see that. I really want to see that.
The more debates between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz, the better it is for Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, I think.
And oddly enough, I think you're right. I mean, I think a lot of people underestimate Walz's capability with rhetoric. No, he's
wrong on everything.
He's wrong on everything. But Paul Curtman was talking about that folksiness, right? That people really like. It's a folksy delivery can cover a multitude of political sins.
And he's a very fast thinker.
Yes,
as well.
Also,
wrong on everything. Terrible worldview. But when it comes to actually making people feel, all right, I'm okay with that guy in charge, he's got the ability to do it, and Republicans should not underestimate him.
The scariest thing is a good communicating communist.
Yeah,
and that's kind of really what he is.
Yep. All right, the St. Louis Public School District is getting a full audit sooner rather than later, sooner than planned, actually. That's the word from State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick. Now, the audit was already scheduled for later this year, but because of a variety of concerns, and by concerns, where are millions of dollars, the audit will begin Tuesday. So they're basically like, all right, we're kicking in the door. Show us your books. Mayor Tashara Jones and State Representative Donna Beringer are among those who requested the audit.
Okay.
Jones says the district went from having a $17 million surplus at the beginning of the last school year to a $35 million deficit by the end of that school year.
All right.
So
well, turn your head and cough, guys.
Well, I'm very, very critical of Tashara Jones on a whole bunch of stuff, but I give her credit, because the mayor is not elected to run the school district, but she's saying there's a problem here.
Yeah.
So
at least she recognized it.
Yeah. So good for her for calling in the Republican state auditor to say, do something about this. Now, they were already scheduled to be audited. Every school district gets audited at some point, but they're putting a spotlight and putting the pressure on the school district, which is a good thing on this. All right. Activists are planning, and we're talking about this at 7:05 here in more depth. activists are planning a unity walk this morning that's going to end with a memorial for Michael Brown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Unity walk.
That's going to happen in Ferguson. Today is the 10-year mark of the teenager's death after he got into a struggle with a police officer. The march, which is organized by the Chosen for Change activist group, is going to go from Normandy High School to Canfield Drive, where Brown was shot. Multiple investigations, just to remind everybody, multiple investigations confirmed that the officer acted in self-defense.
Yeah. Why are we having a memorial for a criminal who effed around and found out? That's what we're doing right now. It's like we have videos that we just watch on YouTube, compilations of the criminals that fafoed, right? And they're hilarious to me. Why are we treating this with so much reverence?
Because it sparked a worldwide movement for change, Gabe.
Yes, the movement to completely destroy the way we teach history, civics, and the way we deal with policies. Through the what is it? The mob veto of all things right and good in America.
Well, technically, that's change.
You know what? You're not wrong.
Yeah, precisely. All right. They won the series, but they just could not pull off the sweep. The Cardinals lose to the Rays at Busch Stadium last night. Final score was 6-4. Redbirds now on the road. It is the I-70 series. They started a series in Kansas City tonight. By the way, Kansas City Royals playing some pretty good baseball. I mean, they are in the wild card picture on the American League. Miles Michaelis going to get the start against the Royals. First pitch is at 7:10. Normally I would go somewhere, watch the game or watch it on TV or whatever, but I'm going to be at a rock and roll concert tonight. So I'll check the spot. It's going to be, everybody like my age and older. So we'll all be checking scores.
Baseball, rock and roll. Baseball, rock and roll. Oh my gosh.
Sounds like heaven to me. That works for me. All right. Let's follow up on the whole Michael Brown anniversary and all the memorial things and the media coverage of it. You got some thoughts on it? Let's talk. 314-912-1019. And there's a variety of opinions on it. And as we've proven, you don't have to agree with me to be part of the conversation. So let's do that just ahead.
Talk radio made in St. Louis for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL.
Our responsibility.
News, analysis, and opinion.
To provide updated guidance.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
Does your life insurance plan include living benefits, hearing, diabetic supplies, teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones? Larry Connors here. I suggest you call Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial. Call 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
I'm so tired of my water smelling like rotten eggs, iron-bound. It makes my clothes and home smell, and my sink and faucet look dirty. I'm calling Jones Air and Water Treatment for their solution to this pollution.
Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to your pollution. Call now for your free water analysis at 636-899-1040 and live with clean, great-tasting water. That's 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Tower from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. The winds have been whipping, the heavy rain falling in waves across the mid-Atlantic region this morning as Tropical Storm Debbie continues moving to the north-northeast right up the eastern seaboard.
There's still quite a bit of heavy rainfall with it and even a tornado threat. Those are the
two biggest hazards going forward will be the continuation of a flood threat and tornado risk.
Mark Chenard at the National Weather Service says Debbie has picked up some speed, meaning the flooding rains could be moving out a bit faster. The storm is headed toward the northeast, going right across some of the big cities of the East Coast. At least 9 people are dead in what Ukrainian officials say was a Russian airstrike on a shopping mall. The issue, health care for non-citizens, as 15 states are taking the Biden administration to court.
It's over a rule that's expected to allow 100,000 immigrants brought to the U.S. illegally as children to enroll next year in the Federal Affordable Care Act's health insurance. The states filed a federal lawsuit Thursday in North Dakota. It's one of the states involved, and the others are Alabama, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, and Virginia. The states are seeking to block the rule from taking effect November 1st and providing people known as Dreamers access to tax breaks when they sign up for coverage. Keith Peters reporting.
September 10th, the day former President Trump is set to debate Democratic presidential hopeful Kamala Harris on ABC. Mr. Trump also pushing for some additional debates. California Governor Gavin Newsom threatening local governments, cities and counties with the loss of state aid next year if they don't start cleaning up homeless encampments, moving the homeless into shelters. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 12 points. NASDAQ futures 23 points in the red. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney or if I look like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare without me being an attorney. And I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call, and you will not talk to an attorney. And I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare, or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-843-1313. That's 800-843-1313. 800-843-1313.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice Friday on tap. A few clouds around this morning, but very pleasant temperatures and low humidity. The high this afternoon, 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. How about 80 on Saturday with some morning lows in the 50s Saturday morning in some of the cooler spots. Lots of sunshine around on Saturday. A little cloudy on Sunday and 82 degrees. Looks like the rain chance holds off until next week. Enjoy your weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL, brought to you by Jewels on Hampton, paying some of the highest prices for your gold, silver, diamonds, and more. Call 314-752-5000 or visit jewelsonhampton.com.
Attention thrill seekers and fun lovers. Did you know the Midwest's largest wooden roller rink is right here in Missouri? Welcome to Piccadilly Palace, your ultimate family entertainment destination. Glide across our massive skating floor, conquer arcade challenges, put your way through mini golf, and dive into cutting-edge virtual reality experiences. And coming soon, a relaxing bar and grill patio, state-of-the-art golf simulators, and heart-pounding two-story go-kart racing next to East Central College in Union, Missouri. Plan your visit now at PiccadillyPalace.com. That's PiccadillyPalace.com.
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business dedicated to providing consumers with high-quality cannabis and education. They strive to make customers feel comfortable and to help curtail the stigma of cannabis use by having a professional and well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com. That's MissouriWild.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple thought Darius!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now. Believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, Jerome got into it.
Yeah.
The Kofifi dance.
Got some moves.
Got the moves there.
Nice.
Well, you better have some rhythm. You're a drummer. Yeah. Right? Jerome's in for Stell today, by the way.
Thank you for having me, guys.
You got it. You got it. All right. Today is the 10-year anniversary of Michael Brown's death. I'm going to bring up Rumble chat box to start getting opinions on this here. Okay, so there's the opportunity to remember what happened in full, but local media and, of course, activists are choosing to remember the narrative created over the last decade. That's what you're going to see starting in about 2 hours.
That's a good way of putting that.
Yeah. All right. Don't forget News Talk STL. We have got fantastic programming all weekend long. Given the bumps in the road that we had with the stock market and a lot of people's money, don't forget Stifel's On the Money show, which is Saturday morning at 9 o'clock with Eric Robert and Bob Stockdale. Eric was on with us this week, kind of giving us the overview of like, here's what all this means. Because there's a lot of uncertainty, and this is not your normal financial show. I mean, I'm telling you, there's life advice, and financial advice you're going to be able to put to good use starting 9 o'clock on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
And it's live.
You need it.
Right. You need it. All right. So here's what's happening today. Starting at 9 o'clock, so just under 2 hours from right now, there is a unity walk that is being organized by, and this group, this Chosen for Change is Michael Brown's part of Michael Brown's seniors
grift. It's part of his grift. Just say it. Yeah. Just say it. This is the nonprofit by which he's drawing money out of his community to line his pockets. That's what it is.
Yeah, the grieving father.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at a couple different news articles on this, and it's amazing the journalistic malpractice that's happening. But every once in a while, they do include relevant parts of the story, because let's talk about what the narrative actually is. We all know what it is, and it's written out, in 2014, when Michael Brown, an unarmed black capital B teenager was shot and killed by a white police officer.
Yes.
That's the narrative.
That's the narrative. That's the built-in.
So I'm looking at, and this one is, believe it or not, I think it's Channel 5's report here. Make sure I'm getting this right. I want to give credit where credit's due. It is, make sure I've got Channel 5's here. Yeah. Yes. Channel 5's. Okay. So there's some parts where they're digging into the narrative, but here's how they start their story. In the last 10 years, there have been tangible signs of progress and I'm sorry, that's the wrong. That's the second page of it. I want to get to that in a second here. But they start off by saying, let me get to it. Okay. On August 9th, 2014, Michael Brown Jr., a black capital B 18-year-old, was shot to death by a white police officer, Darren Wilson, following an altercation in Ferguson, Missouri. A decade later, a central question remains: did the St. Louis region and the nation seize the opportunity to make significant changes and progress following a tragedy that made worldwide news? Okay, so I read that and I'm like, oh crap, here we go. But here's the next paragraph. You got to give Channel 5 credit. And Channel 5 generally is up there with Channel 4 as being just some of the worst. I mean, they're giving like the NPR station a run for the money for being so ridiculously biased in the area. But it goes on to say, following multiple investigations by the St. Louis County Prosecutor's Office and the U.S. Department of Justice, Wilson was not indicted for the shooting death of Brown. Brown's death led to sometimes violent protest in Ferguson and other U.S. cities, accelerating a national Black Lives Matter movement. Public opinion was sharply divided about the shooting, protest, and militarized police response. That's all actually correct.
Yeah.
That's all correct and in context. So you give them credit where credit's due.
Okay. They did a journalism. Good job.
That's right.
Golf clap.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but it is. It's like when you want more of good stuff, then applaud the good stuff when they actually do it.
Absolutely.
So here's the couple areas on this story here. It goes on to say, and this is when we get your reaction to this. It said, in the last 10 years, there have been tangible signs of progress in Ferguson and the North St. Louis County region.
Has there?
Well, depends on how you define progress.
Oh yeah, that's right. We're talking about progressives, right? So that means moving towards commie utopia.
Well, they say progress, and I'm just going to read it. That progress includes electing the city's first Black capital B mayor, hiring Ferguson's first Black capital B police chief, electing a higher number of Black capital B city council members, police wearing body cameras, and a new community resources that didn't exist in 2014 at the time of shooting. That's how they say progress.
Progress.
So
was made.
electing people based on the color of their skin is progress.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. I mean, it's nice, I suppose, that now there's some Black folks who are get involved in government. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's necessarily progress unless you can prove that they were deliberately being kept out for some reason. That's the thing about all the Black firsts these days. By the way, can I just go on a tangent?
Do it.
It's just look. You being the first Black something or other in 2024 or in 2000 is meaningless. It is not the same as being the first Black baseball player. It's not the same as anything else, because look, there is no operation in charge now to keep you from doing that thing. Being the first Black Olympian to do, I don't know, curling or whatever, is there's no cabal of anti curling protectionism against the infiltration of the Black folks into the Canadian sport. Nobody does that, right? So why are people so ginned up on the first Black X, Y, and Z in an environment where that's not a handicap anymore?
Yeah. First of all, curling's not a sport. But secondly, I just want to say,
you just pissed off the Canadian contingent.
I know. I'm sorry, Janet's getting mad at me. But I also just want to say, I'm really glad that I was here for this moment, because you are the first Black co-host to ever say that. On the
wow,
so
that's
I want to
true.
Congratulate you.
That's
That's
wow.
progress.
I was the first Black
Yep.
co-host
Yep.
of the morning show on News Talk STL.
That's right. The first one.
The first one.
Precisely.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's
right.
Golf clap.
Okay, so now let's look at Thursday. I'm sorry, the story from Channel 4. Okay, I'm just going to read the entire story to you. It's going to take about 20 seconds.
Okay.
Friday marks 10 years since a white police officer shot 18-year-old Michael Brown, an unarmed Black teen, to death in Ferguson.
Oh my gosh.
On Thursday, on the street where his body lay for hours, a memorial grew. On Friday, the All Roads Lead to Ferguson Unity Walk kicks off at 9 a.m. The march will start at Normandy High School and ending on Canfield Drive. There will be a moment of silence and a memorial service for Brown. The event is being put on by Michael Brown Sr.'s Chosen for Change organization. That's the entire story.
Oh my gosh, it's so much narrative. It's kind of amazing. They might as well have said this is that time that Whitey killed the black guy. That they might as well have said that. And then the whole, his body lay in the street for hours. Yeah, because the mob wouldn't let the ambulance through.
Right.
I remember that. All of this, all of the narrative building around this is what contributed. I won't say it led to, but it certainly contributed to the death, destruction, and violence that ravaged multiple cities, not just in America. For some reason, there is a BLM chapter in the UK that decided to start throwing stuff and getting it all riled up. So it's kind of amazing how it became an international phenomenon for, again, just a random criminal effing around and finding out.
Man. And what are we going to see and what can we expect from this? Because one of the things that I've heard some of the activists say, and remember Corey, but I think one of the reasons, Corey, Semitism, that kind of bigotry on display as well. But she was running ads with Michael Brown Sr.
Yes, that's true.
That was him in the ads, right?
Yeah, that was.
And she was running on the Ferguson uprising.
Yes.
She was running on do this for Michael Brown.
Well, that was her claim to fame, right?
Right. I mean, that's the only reason anybody ever heard of her, because she was part of those violent mobs.
Do it for Big Mike.
Yeah. By the way, but the fact that she is getting thrown out of office after her second term, she will not get a congressional pension.
Yep. I saw that.
So there's that. That's a good thing.
Yep. So the grift must continue.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Well, and that's the thing
she chooses now.
Where does she go back to this? 314-912-1019. Give me your thoughts on this, because what you're going to have is all kinds of dripping sympathetic media coverage, nothing objective. I almost guarantee you nobody's going to hold a microphone in Michael Brown Sr.'s face and say, well, but remember, a federal investigation under the Obama administration said your son was the aggressor and Darren Wilson acted in self-defense. How does that play? Nobody's going to ask that question.
Nobody's going to ask what happened to Darren Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
You know, his life was completely upended. He was labeled a murderer and all these other things. He lost his job.
Yeah, he had to leave.
He had to leave.
His life was in danger.
What journalist would have the balls to investigate his life and do a big puff piece, with sad music about what happened to him?
Yeah. Last I heard, he was trying to sell real estate somewhere, but I don't even know where he is these days. No idea. All right. Got some thoughts on that? We got time to hear it. 314-912-1019. Who needs to talk to the media and run a presidential campaign when you get TikTok?
That's the actual argument, isn't it?
Is that a valid strategy in 2024? We got a lot to cover here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
False impressions, well, baby, they will last forever. Stop right now! I have had enough of this.
Danny Define here, host of the all-new show, The Next Gen, with me, Danny Define. We're going to cover all the hard-hitting topics on the show. National headlines and things happening right here in St. Louis.
Next Gen with Danny Define. Sunday nights at 8.
Right here on News Talk STL.
News, analysis, opinion.
I will never forget where I came from. Ladies and gentlemen, I came from Middletown, Ohio.
We are the most unified party.
Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better. And
she is unfit and unqualified to be our president and commander-in-chief.
We've got to, again, change the culture of that organization to make sure that all of our protectees are actually, get this, protected.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1
for conservative talk. News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com. It's a pretty simple concept.
It is clear to me.
Let me make this clear.
Big events.
Your news and your opinions.
We're going to get out there and be heard.
St. Louis's place to talk.
Our voices are never heard in the media. We, the people, will always find a way.
And it's about time that we start putting up or shutting up.
Yeah, and you should come. You should listen to many voices.
1019 and 94.1.
Their phone lines have surely been burning up.
News Talk STL.
This is the time of year where we can open up the windows. It's not too hot, not too humid, and just enjoy that fresh air through the home. That's one of my favorite times of year, especially when we get into fall. Love it. I'd rather put on a sweatshirt and just enjoy the windows being open for as long as I can. But before too long, you're going to have to fire up that fireplace. You're going to have to light up that furnace, and you're going to have to start cooling down or warming up your home again as the temperatures drop. Make sure that your home is energy efficient. And one of the biggest reasons you have to spend more money to keep your home warm or cool in the summer is because air leaks out through your windows. You got to call my friends at Window World. Mike Ferguson here for Window World. They are simply the best for less. The number is 314-993-1800. We've all done it. Middle of the winter, we walk by that front door and there's a cold air draft coming through. So we get one of those things that we put in front and think that's going to solve the problem. Or you walk by the window and you feel that little bit of cold air coming through and you're thinking, crap, that's costing me money. And it is. And the cost of energy is only going to go up. We know that. Window World's website, by the way, if you look them up, they actually got a cool thing on there that shows you how much you can save over the life of your home with Window World windows. And they are simply the best for less to start with. So these double strength glass windows are going to cost you less money up front. And then there's a lifetime warranty. So you don't have to worry about ever replacing those windows. And by the way, the new Energy Star standards were released last fall. Window World didn't have to change a thing. Their energy efficiency was already far above those standards. That's how good these things are. Find out what they can do for you. Give them a call today. You're calling, by the way, St. Louisans in Earth City, 314-993-1800. These windows are American made. They also do siding. They also do custom screen doors. But windows is really what they're known for. So give them a call once again, 314-993-1800. Get that free in-home estimate, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised that this is a business that values their reputation, and they're going to act like it. They're going to show you the respect. They're going to put it on your terms, your timeline. They'll show you what they can do, give you the quote, take the measurements, show you the product, and then it is up to you. They go back to the office. They go back to talk to somebody else. You talk to whoever you need to talk to make your decision that's right for you. And Window World will be there when you're ready. 314-993-1800. Window World, the preferred windows of the St. Louis Blues.
What's the key to maximizing the value of your outdoor space? Satisfaction. And getting a fence or deck that exceeds expectations with the highest quality American-made material. And working with a team that cares about your project as much as you do. And adding safety and security for your family and pets to play, relax, and entertain. At STL Fenceworks, satisfaction is our core value. Doing it right the first time, standing above the competition. At STLFenceworks.com, your satisfaction is our passion.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere. The 80s. Excellent. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
So Bruce Hornsby and the Ranger. All right, it is 7:22 on this Flashback Friday.
I haven't heard this song in forever.
Bruce Hornsby was underrated. He had great music. By the way, thank you to everybody who always sends in the request. Every week we get a different set of requests for Flashback Friday. So please keep sending those in. Really appreciate it. All right, 7:22. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe Pfeiffer here. Producer Jerome in for Estelle today. By the way, if you're watching this on video, check it out, or you haven't, go check it out. I don't think I've ever seen this before. You've got Jerome, and then you've got Jerome on Jerome's t-shirt.
Yes.
Where do you get something like that?
This was actually an early birthday gift from a fan of mine.
Nice.
So I'd like to give Ariel a shout out. Thank you so much, because now people can recognize me,
That's right.
Awesome.
And if you're like, don't you know who I am? And you just point to your chest and like, that's who I am.
This guy.
I'm right here. Right. Okay. So if you're just joining us, today's the 10-year anniversary of Michael Brown, Michael Brown's death. And here's the thing is, it is a tragedy. It is a tragedy that an 18-year-old put himself in that position and was at that state in his life where he would get into a physical confrontation with a police officer and ended up losing his life. That is a tragedy.
It's never a good day for a police officer when he has to take someone else's life in self-defense.
Right. But the narrative is what we're going to see today.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to see in the media, what you're going to see on social media. What you're going to see is the narrative on the media, and then people responding in the comments, and then you're a racist and not, so the question, like some of the TV stations are having like specials tonight in some of the radio stations, like they're doing a special 10 years later type thing.
Oh gosh.
And all of their narrative is going to be what's changed and what progress has been made. And that assumes that it was basically the white police hunting the black men back in 2014.
It also assumes what progress looks like.
Right, precisely. All right, going to start off with it's John, you said, right? All right, John, hey, you're on News Talk STL. What's your take?
Oh, great. I'm on the Ferguson show, and I'm calling about Ferguson.
There you go. Exactly.
Another, what do you call that? Synchronicity.
Yeah, I said back at the time when all of this was happening, it was like, I went back and forth. I'm like, do I say something snarky? And I said, I finally did after a few days, and the violence was going on. I said I was thinking about changing my name to something less violent, like Mike Gaza or something like that.
Gaza.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I understand that. That's pretty clever. I got a different take on this. I hope I can stay on the air for at least a minute and a half.
You got a minute? Try to make it a minute, but yeah, you're on.
Okay.
You're on. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. At first, I thought it was unjustified for about 6 months looking into it. Then for the next 12 and a half years, I thought, no, this is justified. I can see the point. Okay, let's let it be. It's justified.
Hey, John, let me jump in. What is it that you thought was justified? The shooting or the protest? Just so I'm clear.
Well, I don't, no. The shooting I thought was unjustified at first, and then justified for 11 years. And now I want to prove to you that Michael Brown was walking towards Darren Wilson at 2/3 mile per hour when he was shot. Here's why. You take Darren Wilson's testimony in court and his other two statements that he had. You take the police diagram of what happened that they say is official. You take the 7-second gunshot audio that you may have heard. I've heard it several times. It's out there. It's supposedly official. It's the actual recording. You layer this all together and you study this. Michael Brown was 20. They say he was 24 feet away when he stopped and turned around from Darren Wilson. They were looking at each other before he came back towards him. He was slightly behind his two blood drops and the telephone pole. It's a light pole, actually. He comes towards them 24 feet. Okay, Darren Wilson says as soon as he took the first step, he took a step towards me and started charging. I started shooting. He never stopped coming. I paused. He never stopped coming. I shot him and he fell to the ground. If you add a half second for one step, if it was one step to start with, then 7 seconds of shooting, because that recording is 7 seconds, then a half second to fall, that was 8 seconds. So he moved 24 feet in 8 seconds, which is 8 yards in 8 seconds, which is a 40-yard dash in 40 seconds, which is 2/3 the speed of walking. No one runs a 40-yard dash in 40 seconds. That's less than 3 miles per hour, which is the normal speed for a human being walking. However, if you say, well, maybe Michael Brown didn't take the one step, maybe he took 4 or 5 steps, then you add more time to it. So it took him even longer to cover 8 yards. So in 8 yards, you got a 290-pound man walking slowly towards the officer, and he decides to come up to him and start shooting him and backpedaling the whole time. So if you're walking that slow, how can you shoot somebody that's unarmed, that's walking 2/3 miles per hour? The other man made a video that's out, Jason Pollock. He said he was walking about 1.5 miles per hour when he got shot. So he came towards him at the end at, I say 2.5, other people say 1.5 or 2 miles per hour, but less than 3 miles per hour at walking speed. And that's proven by all the evidence.
Well, here's the thing. It doesn't matter how fast you're coming. It doesn't. If you have presented yourself as a threat to me and you are continuing to advance towards me and I tell you to stop, you are presenting yourself as a threat. It doesn't matter. It actually does not matter exactly how fast he was moving.
I think it does. Okay, you say legally it don't. Okay, I don't know about that. You may be right.
No, I'm saying in reality.
And also, let me also point out that there was Michael Brown's blood in actually the squad car itself in the
but
front.
That's different. Right, because he had a fight there with him.
Right.
Yeah.
He punched the officer.
Yeah, and he tried to take his gun.
I'm talking about at the end when he came towards him, 25 feet away, walking towards him.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. So at the end of it, how do you're supposed to only shoot a guy with a knife?
No.
That's not true.
Here's
okay,
what.
One more thing. Okay,
no. We've let you talk forever. We let you talk forever. Stop.
Yeah.
Look.
All right,
Here's the thing. Here's the thing. A threat is a threat.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how fast it's moving. It doesn't matter. Whether it has a weapon. How big was this guy? 280.
He was a pretty big guy.
Yeah, there's something. I'm not.
But even that doesn't,
not 280.
That doesn't even really matter that much either.
Yeah. Look.
Yeah.
Even if you're a 5'20" something, but woman, and you're approaching, and you shown yourself to be violent, and you're trying to do something to me, an armed person, you are obviously presenting yourself as a threat. Your job is to get home at that point.
The police officer.
Officer.
Yeah. All right. Hey, John, I got to get to another call here in a second. But appreciate you. See those are the debates that I don't mind having.
Sure.
People to say, well, wait a minute. Now, if you want to go through those, remember the Obama administration came in, did their own investigation of it, and even they said, well, yeah, we can't disprove self-defense, and they declined to file any federal charges or civil charges against Darren Wilson as well. So we do know that Michael Brown attacked the police officer.
He tried to take his weapon.
Yeah, and if you want to argue that he, the force continuum should have been okay, fine. You want to argue all that? What happened is Michael Brown Michael Brown caused the events that led to his own death.
He did.
And that is a tragedy
Mhm.
that an 18-year-old would do that. But what we're going to hear today from all the activists is this shouldn't have happened. I agree. But they're going to say it shouldn't have happened because police brutality.
Yes.
And that's not what
that's the narrative.
And that's not what happened in this case.
Yeah.
It's just not. All right. We got Kathy here. All right, Kathy, I've just got about a minute and a half or so, but you're on the air.
Oh, hi.
Hi there.
Hi, Mike. Thank you for having me.
Yes,
Hi.
ma'am.
I was just calling to say the best part of the week this week was when Cori Bush lost to Leslie Brown.
Yes.
That was a great
That was
great time.
such a blessing. And then the top thing when J.D. Vance was on the tarmac waiting for Kamala to come off. I thought that was great.
That was kind of a political gangsta move. It really, I got to give credit where credit's due. That was pretty strong.
Yeah, the whole you guys look lonely over here.
Oh my gosh. But the saddest part was Trump last night talking about, the state of the country and what's going on. And I think people need to wake up and quit living in the past because we're on the brink of World War III, the horrible things that are happening in Israel that no one's really being mindful about their Christian Judeo roots and thinking about what's happening to innocent women and children all over the world.
Sure.
You could see it with Trump. He's very upset that, that's the saddest I think I've seen Trump speak was last night.
Yeah, that was interesting. And Kathy, thanks for being on the program. Just so you know, Donald Trump's economic advisor, Stephen Moore, is going to be on the program here in about 4 minutes.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yep.
Have a great day.
Thanks for being a part of the show, Kathy. All right. Like I said, Stephen Moore, he's all over, of course, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, Newsmax. You've seen him everywhere. Stephen's going to be with us here in about, I said 4 minutes, about 3 minutes on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice Friday on tap. A few clouds around this morning, but very pleasant temperatures and low humidity. The high this afternoon, 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. How about 80 on Saturday with some morning lows in the 50s Saturday morning in some of the cooler spots. Lots of sunshine around on Saturday. A little cloudy on Sunday and 82 degrees. Looks like the rain chance holds off until next week. Enjoy your weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
I want you to know that McGuire Moving and Storage is silver certified, which means McGuire has a quality reputation helping older adults move local or long distance. And something else to know, Josh McGuire, president of McGuire Moving and Storage, is the only certified moving consultant in Missouri. I'll tell you, once you met Josh, you're going to know your move will be easy. And I fully endorse McGuire Moving and Storage. McGuireMoving.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Now that Biden is out of the way, Nancy Pelosi is speaking her mind. Are you interested? Oh, I think you will be. She did an interview with a New Yorker and said, I've never been that impressed with Biden's political operation. They won the White House, bravo. But my concern, this ain't happening again. And of course, she was privately voicing concerns to Biden. You need to get out of the race while telling the public, no, he's good to go. But she admitted to the New Yorker, we could not see this go down the drain. Imagine if Trump had won. Yeah, that was her fear. The New Yorker asked Pelosi, do you think that you could possibly keep your friendship with Joe Biden, despite all of this? Her answer, I hope so. I pray so. I cry so. I lose sleep on it. Maybe she should consider Oprah Winfrey's view of friendship. Lots of people want to ride with you in the limo, but what you want is someone that when the limo breaks down, that person will be willing to take the bus with you. Nancy's not getting on and certainly not getting under the Biden bus.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
My sponsor, Wellington Environmental, has helped thousands deal with hazardous materials. Hospitals, offices, schools, even homes. Here's something new. Wellington now offers dustless blasting. This is just like sandblasting, but without all the dust and emissions. Wellington uses everything from ground glass, walnuts, corn, even dry ice pellets. One university had Wellington remove their parking lot striping because dustless blasting is fast and it does not damage the concrete. So as a business or homeowner, I'm sure you could use this process. Industrial tanks, swimming pools, graffiti on buildings. And in fact, Wellington is blasting a Texaco station that will be revised as an historic building. Check the website for details and photos. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. The city was booming. Unfortunately, St. Louis city streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline. St. Louis City Republicans believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. Learn more at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican Pat Curtis, Farber Treasurer.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Wherever I'm at, home, car, wherever.
Download the News Talk STL app.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Just the convenience on the phone. Streaming live on the mobile app.
Love the News Talk STL app. And listen anytime.
Everywhere.
Anywhere. The 80s.
Bueller. The 80s.
Let's go while we're young. Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
I need a hero.
I love this song. I don't know why.
A little slice of 80s cheese, but just such a guilty pleasure.
Does it just typify the era somehow?
Kind of does. This would have been a theme music for political campaigns back in the 80s. I need a hero, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure somebody did it.
All right. It is 7:37. Are we at risk of a depression or just at risk of a bad electoral decision? Because those two can be related, but they can also be really two separate things. All right. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Gabe here, and Jerome's in for Stell today. Don't forget, every weekend, live and local conservative talk, including Stand and Fight with Senator Nick Schroer, Sunday evening from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, and this being the first Sunday after the primary elections. You know he's going to have a lot to say. Joined now by Stephen Moore, former White House economic advisor. Stephen, great chat with you again. I appreciate you being on the program. Before I get into President Trump's statements about a possible depression, let me ask you about what happened a little bit earlier this week regarding the markets and the way the stock market really dipped down quite a bit. Big scares there for about 7-8 hours, and then things kind of went back to normal. But in an election year, people tend to look at these things a little more differently than in any other time where there's any sign of a correction. So how do you see that kind of volatility that we saw earlier this week?
Well, good morning to you, Mike, and the gang. And so let me start by saying that this disruption in the market that you were just talking about, it really began Friday morning, exactly a week ago, to this moment, because that's when the jobs report came out. I was on Fox Business News when that report came out, and it was just, jawboning. I mean, it was amazing that you saw, such a swift decline in employment. And so I think the markets really were spooked by that. And you saw a big sell-off on Friday, and then it lasted through the weekend and then on Monday. But then the last 3 days, the markets really recovered. And so it's hard to figure out what exactly is going on here. I do think that Trump called it the Kamala crash. And I do think, if people have very different opinions about, Trump and Kamala, but I think everybody would agree that, Trump is much, much better for the economy than Kamala would be. I mean, she's kind of crazy. She wants to spend trillions of dollars more. She wants to raise taxes through the roof. And so I think the markets that, 3 weeks ago, it looked like, Trump was going to sail to election. And now it's basically a 50-50 race. And so that's where we are right now. But I think it's a warning that these markets are very fragile, and the economy is very fragile right now. And whether or not we're headed to a depression, I don't think so. but I do think we're in a precarious position right now.
Okay, so I'm glad you said that because in a phone call on, I think it was Fox and Friends in the morning, and then, of course, at his press conference yesterday, he reiterated something like this. Here's part of what Donald Trump said regarding the economy.
Inflation has destroyed their administration, and they have no idea what to do about it. It's getting worse, and you had a crash the other day of over 1,000 points. It's a very bad situation that we're going in. We could end up in a depression if these people are reelected.
Okay, so I mean that obviously raised a lot of eyebrows. Depression is very, very serious words. Is there a risk that if we're using words like depression, and that's really not something that we have to worry about? Recession, maybe, but depression, could that undercut the President Trump's better economic message if he goes hyperbolic on things like that?
Maybe a little bit. I mean, he is prone to exaggeration, and I'm an economic advisor to Trump, as you know. And look, I think he's right that what's happened to the economy over the last 4 years has been catastrophic. I mean, we've seen the biggest increase in our national debt in history, and debts have to be repaid. So we're just living on borrowed time right now. I mean, everybody, I don't care if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, everybody knows what we've been doing is grievously wrong. And then you add to that the inflation. By the way, I just saw literally right before I came on your show, Mike, this tweet from Kamala Harris saying, on day one, I'm going to solve the inflation problem. I'm like, what? You've been in office for 3.5 years. You took inflation from 1.5% to 9%, and you're gonna solve the inflation problem. Hey, why don't you solve the inflation problem now, not 6 months from now? I agree with Trump that I think there are real dangers to the economy. I think it's more likely we would head into a recession, not a depression. But look, I lived through the 1970s. That was like a mini depression we had.
Good morning, Stephen. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So it feels as though we need a doomsday clock for the economy, the way we used to have one for nuclear destruction in the 80s. And it feels as though we're getting so close to midnight because of all of these various economic indicators and how high the debt is relative to GDP and all these things. Are we really close to? It feels like we're close to midnight. Is that kind of what Trump was getting at?
Yeah, because you mentioned the fragility of the economy. A lot of people, I think, do feel that.
Well, I think you put it very well, the doomsday clock. And I do think when I look at what's happened in the last 3.5 years to our financial situation in this country, I'm really, really worried. On the other hand, I think that, look, I believe we have the best businesses in the world. We're an incredibly resilient economy. We can get through these tough times. What I guess I'm saying is if you took like what Biden's done in the last 4 years, and then you added 4 years of Kamala's agenda, I think that would be really, really, really bad for the American worker and American economy and people who worry about kitchen table issues. So, let me just give you one example. Kamala Harris says she wants to tax unrealized capital gains, which we've never done before in this country. She wants to double the capital gains tax. She wants to raise our business tax rate to one of the highest in the world. I mean, come on, that would have really, really negative. So, we're going to tax the rich. Well, look, you took every penny from every millionaire and billionaire, I still wouldn't be able to balance the budget. So, of course, they're going to have to go to the middle class if they want to deal with this debt problem by raising taxes, which I think is not the right thing to do. We got to start cutting spending. And by the way, I'm not here to defend the Republicans either. I mean, they love to spend money too, but we've got a sickness in Washington. It's, I said on Fox News the other night that this was like a bunch of fiscal pyromaniacs we have in Washington.
Now, Stephen, I want to follow up on that because the way the media is going to frame what you just said regarding taxing unrealized gains and things like that, somebody's going to get Bernie Sanders or a Bernie Sanders wannabe up there to say, well, this is just the way the rich people, avoid or delay or use loopholes. What we're talking about is discouraging people from saving and investing. I mean, even if they take your IRA and your 401k off the table on it, we're talking about discouraging people from investing, and investing is what drives startups and what drives expansion of business.
Well, that's well put. I can't even improve on that. You're exactly right. And so when you're taxing, we want people to save and invest in our future. We want, I love this idea. Let's soak the rich. Well, who are the rich? They're the business owners. They're the people that create the jobs. My old boss, Dick Armey, used to say, liberals love jobs, but they hate employers. Well, you can't have one without the other. And so you've got to have a system where, you have a sane system. When we came in 2017, people forget, one of our top objectives was to cut the business tax rate, not because we love corporate America, because we had the highest tax rate. Did you know this? The highest tax rate in the world on businesses was in the United States. And I remember showing Trump that data, and he said, this is like a Head Start program for all the countries we're competing with. And I said, yes, sir, this is like we're putting a tariff on our own goods and services. And so we fixed that, and we brought a lot of jobs back. I mean, people forget, if it had not been for COVID, Trump would have won a 40-state re-election landslide. The economy was really cooking. And, I feel, and look, I'm biased. I'm a Trump guy, and I work on his economic agenda. But I think if Trump wins the election, it's going to be taking like a champagne bottle and shaking it up and taking the cork off. I think you're going to see an explosion of optimism and growth and new business formation and higher wages for workers. And workers have gotten killed in the last 4 years. I mean, the inflation has outpaced people's paychecks. So the average American today is poorer than they were when Trump left office.
Yeah, in all real terms, absolutely. All right, Stephen Moore, former White House economic advisor, obviously economic advisor to President Trump right now. Great chat with you again, Stephen. Appreciate you being on the program. Have a great weekend.
Okay, you guys too. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Stephen.
All right, 314-912-1019. Got some thoughts on that? Let me know right here on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
You have a home you want to sell, you loved it, spent a lot of time in it, raised your family, but now it's time to move on. I've got a phone number you need to be calling. Be ready to copy that number down. I'm going to tell you, I'm talking about Jen and Rodney, the Wallner team, a husband and wife team that knows how it comes to a time in life that you need to start downsizing. They can help you. In fact, the Wallner team at Berkshire Hathaway sell 15 times more homes a year than the typical realtor. They'll work with you on the commission, and there's no obligation. You'll have no long-term commitment. You can simply decide, I want to change my mind. Jen and Rodney will understand. They're licensed in Missouri and Illinois. So if you're ready to sell your home or you just want to have a conversation about it, contact Jen and Rodney. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team now. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here. Join me every Sunday morning at 9 a.m. on News Talk STL for a little fun with finance. We'll talk about taxes, the economy, finance, and most importantly, how to enjoy the lifestyle you deserve.
Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Sunday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Tune in on Sunday and visit serenitynowtax.com for your free copy of my book, The New Holistic Retirement. That's serenitynowtax.com.
Serenity Now! This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. The 80s. Excellent. Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
I don't recognize this one.
Magic? Is this the song Magic? You could do Magic?
Good ear. You can do Magic by America.
By America, yeah. This was a big hit. 82, 83, something like that.
Unfortunately, I don't have that information.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I'm gonna have to
back
look it
when
up.
vocal harmonies blended in with the synthesizer. I mean, that's not a real drum. You could hear that. That's the electronic. There it is. See?
Mm-hmm.
Man, going way back on the Flashback Friday. Whoever requested this, nice.
Yeah, see, I was 5 when this came out, so that's why
What
I don't
year was
remember. 82, right?
It was 80. Well, I'm asking.
I'm
think,
sorry.
I think it was 82 or 83.
Okay, so hold on. Let me
Yeah,
double
it was
check.
early 80s. Let's put it that way.
Yes, I believe. Yes.
Magic by
Yes, 82.
82. I was right. Okay.
Recorded as a single in 82.
I mean, I like it when I get those things right, but I'm thinking, how much of a geek am I? What has my life become? Holy crap.
That's okay.
Oh, man.
It's all right. I was taking inventory of my comic book collection the other night. And yeah, it's just a different type of nerd. You're just a different type of nerd.
Yeah, I know.
It's okay.
All right. A couple notes here. Monday at 7:35, he kind of surprised, I think, everybody by winning, but the likely next lieutenant governor of Missouri, David Wassinger, going to be on this program, 7:35. Don't forget, we've also got the best live and local weekend conservative talk. We do not stop being a news talk station on Friday. We don't. There are stations that stop being news talk and they become infomercial central.
Yes, exactly.
We continue with the news talk. Matter of fact, Saturday morning, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock is the Randy Tobler show. The great Randy Tobler. All right. 7:50 right now. Got Gabe here and I got Jerome in for Stell today. Okay. I found this, by the way, a couple things real quick. I meant to mention this to you last week, Gabe, just in case you were looking for a side gig.
Oh, okay. Yeah, another side gig.
Yeah, the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission was looking for people to come down starting today through August 18th and hunt pythons in the Everglades.
Oh, huh.
So there's a great python hunt.
The great
that's happening.
python hunt.
And if you win, the grand prize, you can get 10 grand, man.
If you survive.
Well, there's that, but I mean, weigh your options.
I've seen these python hunters. It's not like hunting in any other situation. You're just, it's at night in the pitch blackness, and you're wading through croc infested or alligator infested waters,
right,
looking for one of the most dangerous snakes in existence.
So, are you in? You didn't answer the question.
I'm out. Not today, Satan.
I'll take a spot.
There you're in,
yeah, there you go. You're in it. You're in it. See, I'd rather shoot feral hogs from a helicopter in Texas.
Oh, that sounds fun too. Yeah. So basically, what's happening is, I'm sure a lot of people know this by now. Somehow, some pythons got released into the Everglades.
Yeah.
Alligators. I guess they'd be crocodiles down there. No, they'd be alligators.
It's alligators.
Alligators down there. Those are the apex predators of their ecosystem.
Yes.
Pythons are apex predators where they are native. So you've got a war going on between two apex predators, and the pythons have absolutely they've grown like invasively, and it's crazy, and they're destroying a lot of the ecosystem down there. I mean, it's like bad.
Yeah, a lot of the prey animals that they compete for are used to trying to evade the alligators, but they're not used to the hunting tactics of the python. So they're getting caught by the pythons. The pythons are getting gigantic out there, and it's just turning into like you said, a war. Because a really big python will take out any number of younger alligators. So that's and the alligators don't really have a defense to go after the younger pythons.
Now, let me just tell you that because I go down to Florida, once or twice a year to go play in baseball tournaments down there. And there's one, I don't think the Everglades is in Fort Myers still. That's a different swamp area down there. It's not the Everglades.
No.
But
it's still swampy.
A year or two ago, my mom was down there with me and my wife, and she went down to take a little bit of a vacation while I was playing ball. And we went through a nature park area where they've got like those bridges and walkways that go through the swamp area.
Oh, wow.
And into the area. And we're walking over one, and right below us, big 7-8 foot movement right below us. We're just a few feet away.
That's not a stick.
No. I'm like, that's a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And
just glide through the water.
But at one point, it's like, that's so cool. We saw an alligator. I'm thinking, I'm literally 3 feet away from something that could eat me.
Yes.
And I mean, there was no fenced off area, but we were safe because the way they built the bridges and everything. But I'm like, it's kind of surreal when you see those things in person. There's the little alligator like touristy things that you can do.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They have little cute, 3.5 foot thing. That was the real one in the wild, and I'm like, oh man, that puts that whole gator hunter show, whatever that's called, in a whole different light.
Absolutely.
Swamp people. What's that called?
Swamp people.
Swamp people.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
So I mean, they're fighting those things. I'm like, oh, that was a dinosaur.
I saw one video of an alligator just kind of swimming along, like you said, gliding through the water next to a boat, and then it turned and looked at the guys, and it jumped up onto the boat. Just suddenly, just all. It's like I didn't know they could move quite that fast. Like I knew they were fast. I've seen nature documentaries like everybody else, but it changed directions and leaped, and that's the thing that got me. It's like, oh my gosh. So Mike, that if a 7-foot gator decided to make lunch out of you, it could have turned and possibly covered 2.5 of the 3 feet you were away.
Yeah, but we were up on top of the bridge.
Well,
which had the
it had the fencing thing. Okay,
well, it had the wooden fencing on it. So he would have had to have gone.
All right, he'd gone through the. Okay,
and
you were a little
water.
protected. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah. So, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like that's cool. Oh crap, that's scary.
Not today, Satan.
Yeah, because like I said, we were out in nature. We weren't in a controlled environment. We were on their turf for that. By the way, 8:05 here. So we've got an information segment with some national news coming your way here in just a moment. Some of Kamala Harris's campaign folks have actually told Fox News, they're like, we don't need to do press conferences. We've got social media. Now that sounds really stupid, but I got to thinking about it. I'm like, that actually might be strategically sound.
Is that a thing?
Is that a thing? Let's talk. Let's talk a little bit about that, because Donald Trump did his very long press conference yesterday. The point that he was making is, I'm not afraid to do this.
Yeah.
And he's not.
Right. And Kamala is. I mean, honestly.
Oh, sure. And she should be.
Because she's really bad at it.
Well, and even, Trump ran off the rails a couple times in that thing. He trumped himself a couple times. I mean, he got Trumpy.
He got Trumpy and trumped himself.
And trumped himself. But the point was made that, this is, I'm not afraid to do this. I'll take hostile questions. I'm willing to do it. And he pointed out regularly, she's not willing to do this. And he's right.
Yes.
Is it going to matter the way that we think that it should? So 8:05, let's talk about that as well, because here's the interesting thing is that we are obviously with the general election coming, and we've got a unique perspective on here. Illinois is going to go for Kamala Harris. Missouri is going to go for Donald Trump, period. But so much of this campaign and so much of what's happening with the vote, yes, it affects us like it affects everybody else, but it's also setting the precedent for the way the statewide races are going to be run as well.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I'm looking forward to with David Wassinger, because he kind of surprised everybody. Nobody really expected him to win. Everybody just kind of resigned to the fact that we thought that the Rhino was going to get elected.
Oh, everybody was so scared of Lincoln Huff.
Yeah.
As they should have been.
And so we've got David Wassinger, 7:35 on Monday. I'm looking forward to this. I've met him before, but it was just in passing.
Right.
So I don't really know him. So I'm looking forward to the conversation on Monday. All right. 314-912-101. This is 1019-94.1 News Talk STL on this Flashback Friday.
Craving the best burger in St. Louis? Head to Jack Nolan's. This veteran-owned local gem is serving up mouth-watering burgers that'll make your taste buds dance. But that's not all. We've got something for everyone, from delicious sides to the coldest beer in town. Enjoy our fully stocked bar and comfortable neighborhood vibe, whether you're relaxing indoors or soaking up the sun on our patio. Jack Nolan's, 2501 South 9th Street. Come on down to Jack Nolan's. You'll be glad you did.
SR1 Sundays.
Hey, this is Aaron Dorff from the Missouri Firearms Coalition. Don't miss our new show, Shall Not Be Infringed, this coming and every Sunday as part of SR1 Sundays. Tune in for Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer at 6, Next Gen with Dane Define at 8, and my show, Shall Not Be Infringed at 9. See you then.
SR1 Sundays.
Sunday night at 6 on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
KLGY HD3 Clay, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. We now know there will be at least one presidential candidates debate.
Donald Trump and Kamala Harris have agreed to a September 10th presidential debate on ABC, setting up a face-off between the Republican and Democratic nominees. At a news conference at his Florida residence, the former president proposed additional debates on other networks. Speaking to reporters in Detroit, Harris says she's willing to have a conversation after September 10th about an additional debate. I'm Norman Hall.
Democratic vice presidential candidate Tim Walz has yet to address the stolen valor allegations that have been dogging him, accused of exaggerating his military service record, claiming to be a combat veteran. Our military affairs analyst, retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, says this is hardly an isolated incident.
A lot of people join the National Guard, to be able to brag that they are they're veterans. They've served their country, and I applaud that. I think that's very important. But we should not distort what our service was all about.
When it comes to Tropical Depression Debbie and its ongoing march up the East Coast,
flooding is probably still the biggest threat, and that's from the northern mid-Atlantic into portions of New York, upstate New York. Could be some significant flooding today in those areas. And we're still getting some heavy rainfall across portions of the eastern Carolinas that have already seen a lot of rain. So there's some significant flooding still ongoing there.
That's Mark Chenard at the National Weather Service. The storm has claimed 8 lives. The latest fatality, a 78-year-old woman. Authorities say she was killed when a tree fell on her home in North Carolina. Watching Wall Street ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures are down 92 points. NASDAQ futures off 96. S&P futures 19 points lower. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If your 60 Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-511-1551. 800-511-1551.
Do you owe back taxes? The IRS has spent millions in taxpayer dollars enhancing collections. COVID is over and they are back in full force, levying bank accounts and garnishing wages. It's your money. Don't let them take it. Call Ultimate Tax Help now. 888-505-1099. Their super team of tax specialists will contact the IRS and stop all collections. Missing tax filings? No problem. Stop the stress. Ultimate Tax Help is an A+ rated 5-star company. 888.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice Friday on tap. A few clouds around this morning, but very pleasant temperatures and low humidity. The high this afternoon, 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. How about 80 on Saturday with some morning lows in the 50s Saturday morning in some of the cooler spots. Lots of sunshine around on Saturday. A little cloudy on Sunday and 82 degrees. Looks like the rain chance holds off until next week. Enjoy your weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
What makes a barbecue champion? It's skill, it's swagger, it's choice meats, superior spices, and sauces. But it starts with the simplest cooking fuel. Rockwood Lump Charcoal, made of 100% pure Missouri oak, hickory, and maple. It's premium charcoal that lights quick and burns hot, with a rich wood aroma that complements the natural flavors of meats. And because it's free from chemicals and impurities, it's more responsive for superior temperature control. What makes a barbecue champion? Rockwood Charcoal. Smoke the competition. Visit rockwoodcharcoal.com for tips and stores near you.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, a couple things I want to kind of roll into one here. We've got the negotiations on the debates between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. There's going to be one, maybe two. I know Donald Trump is proposing 4. I don't think he's getting
4. Oh my God,
he's not getting 4. Kamala Harris is not agreeing to 4.
No, there's no way.
1 or 2, maybe.
Sure.
Of course, and they're debating which network's going to do it, negotiating and all this kind of stuff. Instead of living in a world where they just simply say, "All right, we're going to meet, we're going to debate, and we're going to, have our exchange of ideas," but it's never quite that simple. So
No.
I've got one question to ask all of us.
Okay.
And I mean, everybody who's watching, everybody who's listening, all of us in the room here as well. And then I want to talk about this, this whole thing that Donald Trump is making a point of, and JD Vance is making a point of. You guys aren't going in front of the media. You're not doing press conferences. You're not taking questions. How big of a deal is that?
Right.
So we'll get to that. 8:05 right now, almost 8:06. Got Gabe here. Jerome's in for Stell today. Appreciate that.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so the debates here.
Yeah.
We have talked about how for voters, a lot of times they are more valuable in a primary than they are in a general election.
Yes.
Now, let me also point out that Mike Kehoe did not participate in any of the debates in Missouri, and he still won very handily.
True.
So I don't think debates mean what they used to mean. I think they should mean what they used to mean, but I don't think they do anymore.
Yeah.
So when you watch a debate, like when the Trump-Harris debate happens, or when the Vance-Walz debate happens, which I actually think is going to be a lot more interesting. But when those happens, are you guys, I'll start with you, Jerome, are you going to watch it or listen to it with the intent of saying, I'm going to compare and contrast these ideas so I can make an informed decision? Or are you going to be listening for, my guy Zing Demon won, and that guy just gave me a great soundbite to slam him?
Yeah, so me personally, when I'm watching these debates, I do like to see the theatrical side of it. And I think that a lot of people my age, that's kind of what the attitude is that they've already, for the most part, made up their minds of who they're going to support. It's more so just to see how bad we can own the opposition. And I agree. I think that debates should be a lot more about the content. It should be a lot more about the policy and everything like that. And what instead we're seeing is, that's why I don't think the social media is going to be an issue. I think people are just so, we're so conditioned and so used to communicating with celebrities and seeing people that way that it's not going to really affect her negatively, but the emphasis should be going out there and actually being in person and communicating.
You know what the key word that Jerome just said 3 times?
What's that?
Should.
Yeah.
Should.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That's the key word, and you're right.
Well, and I wonder, what the world would be like if we took these debates, like general debates where the sides are diametrically opposed. If we took them seriously and actually tried to internalize and wrestle with the points being made. If we were actually trying to form our politics based on the positions that are being presented in front of us. I wonder what our world would look like.
Now, I think the Trump-Biden debate is an anomaly, and I'm going to explain why here in a minute. That was absolutely effective.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But for a whole different reason.
Well, that's just because there's something that needed to be highlighted.
Right. Precisely. and it had nothing to do with the issues or the content.
Right.
So, but let's go back, Trump versus Clinton in those debates. The last set of not 2024, 2020, Trump versus Biden. You can go back, Reagan versus Mondale. You can, and that Reagan versus Mondale, Bush versus Dukakis. You can go all those. But if you go back to, let's say, to Kennedy versus Nixon.
Oh, yeah.
Those debates made a difference in how people voted.
Absolutely.
Donald Trump versus Kamala Harris, that debate is probably not going to change very many minds.
Now, I wonder if mass communication, the changes in mass communication, are what has driven these changes to the way people perceive debates.
Yeah.
Because there was the debates prior to mass communication, the Lincoln Douglas debates, and people would read about the account of that debate. Like, if you wanted to have any information about the debate, unless you were there, you had to read about it.
Right.
Then you had, the first radio debates,
Right.
right. So now it's appointment. Everybody's sitting in the living room. You got the fireplace over here, and you got the radio going, and Dad's sitting there in a smoking jacket, listening to I don't know, FDR, argue about
fireside chat.
Argue about one thing or another, and then you have TV debates. JFK, right? And everybody's the people who listened to it on radio completely perceived it differently than the people who watched it on TV.
So true,
right? So now we've got internet generation. We've got 20. Well, actually, let me go back. The 24-hour news cycle was a big change too.
Yeah.
Where it used to be that only networks got debates, and only networks were the place where you could get information about anything political or newsy. And it was very specific times of day. It was like news at 11.
That's right.
Right. Now, the 24-hour news cycle, when that came in the 90s, I think it was.
Yeah. Well, the CNN went on the air in
late 80s.
In late 80s.
But
Bernard Shaw was the first anchor.
But it went wide to the public in the 90s,
Yes,
right? So then,
yes.
so in the 90s now, you're inundated with political information, constant. So each time we make these strides, and now we're in the TikTok generation. Now, every time we make these strides, we're moving further and further away from the debates informing us as to how we should vote.
When they're not informed, basically they are becoming soundbite factories.
Yes,
like
that's
you
it.
said, Jerome, and I think you're onto something.
Entertainment.
Oh yeah, and that's what I noticed as well. I'm glad you brought up the TikTok generation,
Mhm.
because it seems like it's a lot more about who produces the best highlight reels,
Right. Yes.
rather than it is
Right.
about who actually is representing themselves or their policies accurately.
So what do we lose when that happens is you lose the nuance, you lose the context, you lose the expectation that the voter does some work to understand the two candidates and their differences, or three candidates, or whoever's going to be on that stage. So now that you mentioned the TikTok thing, we saw a news bulletin that came across a little bit ago, and there's one of those unnamed campaign aides for Kamala Harris, which I don't know who that is.
Unnamed aide.
But
they have so much turnover they can't keep the names
really.
right.
So they said, basically, when being asked about why isn't she doing press conferences or press gaggles, what we call in the industry, and getting taking questions from reporters, and one of them apparently said something to the effect of, "We've got TikTok, we don't need to."
Oof.
Now, why won't she go take questions on a regular basis? Because she will, because she'll burn herself.
Yeah, she's
Because
bad at it.
She's not good at it
Yeah.
at all. And I think to some degree, as fringy and as skewed as their worldview is, I think that they are smart enough to understand we are out of the mainstream of much of America. They're not trying to reflect the mainstream of America. They're trying to pull the mainstream to where they are. So they're not looking to represent, they're looking to, I don't know, they're looking to push us into a fringe worldview, especially with somebody like Tim Walz with the selection here. So when I saw that, the 52-year-old Mike Ferguson goes, "What? You've got TikTok, so you're not going to talk to reporters and media people? Don't you know who we are?
Get off my lawn."
Yeah, we're kind of a big deal. But
we have many leather-bound books.
That's right. I've got an Encyclopedia Britannica. That's right. Bought it from a guy who knocked on my door. But
Rich Mahogany.
But you look at that for a second, you go, no, I kind of get it. I mean, for instance, it was pointed out on the Rumble chat box here. Who said it? It was, let's see here. Somebody said, I want to give credit to, but by the way, Goat Lady says attention spans have been shortened to 30 seconds. That is absolutely true. Oh,
yeah.
It was Ed. Ed said Kehoe avoided the press, did social media, he won.
Yeah.
And that's a strategy. I'm telling you, one of the smartest things the Biden administration did was expand the press corps to influencers.
Yep.
So you had a bunch of weirdo 20-somethings who suddenly are doing their quote unquote reporting on TikTok and Instagram. And the stodgy people my age and older, and I like to think I'm not that old, were like, That is beneath what the White House should be. But somebody in the Biden camp, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say it was not Joe Biden, understood this is where the next generation of voters are getting their information and misinformation and BS.
Yeah.
And they're making decisions on that. And the Republicans and the conservatives are behind on that. They're losing that ground game. And so that's one of the reasons I'm saying, guys, don't write off this election thinking it's in the bag.
Now, interestingly enough, Trump has recently picked up a couple of streamers who are really big deal supporters of. There's one guy, and I have no idea what his deal is or what he does, but he bought a Cybertruck and he wrapped it in the image of the fist pump, post assassination attempt, and gave it to Trump.
Gave it to him.
And there was a gigantic video. He streamed the whole thing, and Trump sat next to him on stream and took questions.
Wow.
So this is where we're going with this stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's got a lot to do with the convenience of it too. A lot of people at my age, at least, we're not as outgoing, I would say, as a lot of the older generation are. So the more information you can just put into our feeds, and the more that you can expose us to that way without us having to do anything, the better off you're going to be publicity-wise, because there are people that are only against Trump just because of the fact that they know Trump bad.
Yeah, orange man bad.
Exactly. And then they see it on their feed or their Instagram or whatever, and then it reaffirms that and it validates that in their mind. So why would they ever go out to a rally or watch a debate?
Right.
By the way, can I mention that I saw a recent video of Walz speaking in front of some crowd or another, and he was super orange. He was he's a new orange man.
Well, Biden was doing that before he dropped out. He was somebody did a side by side. So because listen, Donald Trump's almost as old as Joe Biden.
Yeah.
And Donald Trump does not have a natural sun-kissed hue about him. That's makeup.
And also no time to be out there doing that.
No, exactly. So Biden started doing that as well. And when you do TV, makeup's a thing, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is.
Yeah. You don't want to look like a pale weirdo.
No, not at all. All right, 314-912-1019. So I think we can fairly be indignant that one or more of the candidates isn't answering the tough questions.
Absolutely.
But we also need to understand why, so that when you go try to combat that message to that millennial, to that whatever's after millennials, Zoomer. Yeah. So that you can try to get them to think for themselves. Don't try to make them mad at Harris for not doing the press conferences old style. Challenge them to want to demand more than what they get off TikTok.
Ask the question.
Yeah. All right. Let's dump some news on you. Got some thoughts on all this. We got 40 some odd minutes left to get your opinions on it right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Your retirement income at risk if you or your spouse needs nursing home or in-home care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. The cost of long-term care is one of the biggest risks in retirement planning. For many retirees, a single nursing home stay can cause a significant reduction in assets that can permanently reduce your retirement income. Fortunately, there are affordable and flexible options available today that can help you manage the cost of long-term care. Our team can help you address the risks relevant to your retirement, including long-term care. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Tony Colombo here, reminding you to visit my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton before your next trip into the great outdoors. For decades, Bluff City Outdoors has covered all the needs for area fishermen, and they'll always have all the best bait, tackle, and gear for your next trip on the water. And now they cover all your bow hunting needs, including their state-of-the-art indoor archery range and techno hunt system, open every day for you to come shoot, or you can join a league. Follow Bluff City Outdoors on Facebook and learn more at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
East Coast Report with Douglas Blair.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
The Democrats did a bad job on COVID, and that's Donald Trump.
You know what? These two guys are stupid.
Doug, you're both stupid. Here's the thing about RFK, okay? Yeah. He's not Donald Trump, so he must be great. Oh, sure, yeah.
How dare you?
Vic Porcelli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
And then the media.
101.9 and 94.1.
They lying about what's going on in America. They lying about it.
News Talk STL. The 80s. Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the dates?
It's Flashback Friday.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get through this thing.
Okay, drummers. Classic.
He was so ridiculously talented.
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't think people understand
how
talented
he could
Prince
play. Like a dozen instruments at almost a master's level.
Yeah.
Just savant on anything.
He was also a business savant.
Yeah.
And people don't remember that either.
Yeah.
Like he exposed some things about the music industry with his business acumen.
Well,
that whole change to the symbol
thing, yeah.
That was a business move.
Yeah.
And nobody knows.
Well, but
brilliant.
also he got around some of that stuff by charging expensive prices for his concert tickets, but it included his latest album.
That's right. It counted at album sales.
So he cut out like 3 middlemen levels and made a lot more money and made a statement about his business, about the music industry.
Mhm.
And by the way, if you listen to his last album or two, when he was doing more of the true old school R&B,
Mhm.
I mean, not the what you hear on pop radio, but I mean, like he went like old school, just phenomenal music, which didn't get any radio airplay, but it was really good stuff.
Mhm.
Really good stuff.
He also wrote a lot for other people.
Oh yeah, he did. All right. I think he wrote, I want to say Manic Monday for the Bengals, but he wrote like a lot of pop hits. I mean,
yeah.
So he could definitely afford the.
If you liked 80s music, you liked Prince,
Yeah.
probably.
Yep. All right. 8:21 on this Flashback Friday. I'm Mike. We got Gabe here. We got Jerome in for Stell today, which I appreciate here. So if you're just joining us, here's what we're talking about. Two things really kind of rolled into one. One is we've got the debates
Mhm.
that are being negotiated. Next month, there's going to be at least one between
least
Donald
one.
Trump and Kamala Harris. My guess there's going to be a second one, but I don't think there's going to be more than that. There's going to be at least one between Tim Walz and JD Vance. My
Mhm.
guess is going to be one. I think after one or two debates, Kamala Harris's team is going to say no more.
Tap out.
No more. And after probably one debate,
Mhm.
the Trump Vance team is going to say no more between the vice presidential candidates.
Mhm.
So I think that's my guess is what's going to happen. But the other part is that you've got the Harris campaign. Apparently, to Fox News, somebody in the Harris campaign has said, well, we don't have to go do a bunch of press conferences the way Donald Trump does.
All right.
We've got TikTok.
Mhm.
Now, when they say we've got TikTok, they're not just talking about we have the accounts.
Right. They're
but-
saying they have the space
and the skill set,
Mhm.
and they can find voters that way. And what happens is you control the message. You lower your risk. Is it shortchanging our national body politic? Yeah, but their
Absolutely.
job is to win elections, not fully inform the public.
Right.
All right. We got, I'm sorry, I just asked you, but it was Tim,
Tim.
right? Tim. All right. Tim, you're on News Talk STL. What do you think?
Well, when you're running for the office of the presidency, I kind of look at it like this. You've got to have a huge, massive ego, like a quarterback in a football team. If you don't have that ego, then you don't belong in that position. So if Harris, for instance, if she's afraid to go in front of public, like the last debate with Trump and Biden, if she's afraid to do that, what do you think she's going to be like when she gets in front of foreign leaders that hate this country?
Mm-hmm.
How do you think she's going to handle herself on that platform?
Let me jump in. The answer is in a way that is embarrassing to all of us.
Yeah.
Well, you laugh at that, but really, that's nothing to laugh at. When there's possibly a third war that's going to start in the Middle East, and you've got a potential candidate for the presidency that can't handle herself in front of public
Mhm.
or under the scrutiny of really hard-pressed either domestic or foreign issues, that's not a laughing matter.
Right.
Well, the thing is, we laugh to keep from crying here. That's how we do on this show, because here's the situation is we currently have a president who can't stand up to foreign leaders right now, and he's been that way for 3 years.
Yeah, I mean,
well, look what's happened
right
in the last 3.5 years. You've got the Middle East blowing up with Israel fighting for its existence,
survival,
really,
yeah.
to speak of. And then you've got the Red Sea area that's blowing up right now. Naval commanders have said, and the media is not covering this, naval commanders had said that they have not seen this kind of action with the Navy since World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But nobody wants to cover that.
Right.
So in the last 3.5 years, this country has gone upside down. Realistically.
Yeah, that's actually
right.
that's why we're talking about this here, because I think there's a lot of people who are saying, wait a minute, this is serious stuff here. She's not answering questions. And by the way, this is also a dereliction of the media's, the so-called fourth estate's duty as well. Part of what media is supposed to do is hold their feet to the fire as part of the vetting process the voters have. But we know they're running cover for the left on this. We know they're running to cover. Tim, really appreciate you being part of the program. Those are some
Tim.
really good points on this.
Absolutely.
Because there's what should be, and then there's what is.
Yes.
Now, remember, the campaign, when you're hiring campaigns, whether it's, we talked about a little bit about the consultant class, in the statewide races and local races, people are brought in to run campaigns because they know how to win campaigns.
Yeah, the kind of mercenaries in that regard.
Right. If you get hired by the Harris Walls campaign, your job's to win the campaign. And if you look around, you say, oh, she's going to get torn apart if she does a press conference. You don't sit there and go,
but we have a duty.
But we have a duty.
Yeah.
People need to hear from this. We've got to fully vet so that their job is then don't put her in front of the press.
Right.
Hey, who's got TikTok? Who's good at TikTok? Who knows how to grow a following? Who knows how to do the thing that makes people go, I like her.
We need a good video editor
right.
and script writers. Yeah, let's get those people engaged. Well, and the other thing too is and you spoke about the dereliction of duty of the press.
Yeah.
If the press was on her the way I think the public it would be, and the way they should be on the fact that she's not doing these press conferences, then it would lead the political, the political class to the consultant class to say, well, we're taking so much heat, we have to. So let's do as good of a job as we can prepping her and get her in front of a press conference now.
Right. Because, for instance, when Joe Biden decided to do a debate with Donald Trump, I'm telling you right now, it wasn't that Donald Trump won the debate. I mean, he did, but that's not what the big deal was. The big deal was the entire country, not just who watched it live, but who saw it where?
On social media, all the clips.
In the hours that followed and the days that followed.
And the memes, by the way.
Right.
Speaking of laughing.
Could not get away from the fact that the cognitive decline of Joe Biden is too much. Republican, Democrat, otherwise, everybody sat there and said, that guy cannot do the job anymore.
Right.
So there's more risk for incumbents. There's more risk for the front runner than there is reward to do an actual debate where you don't have the control over what's happening as you do during a direct to the voter type thing. And this isn't new, by the way. When Matt Blunt, former governor of Missouri, when Matt Blunt decided to not run for re-election, he did not call a press conference. He put a YouTube video out. Now, that was the only social media outlet at the time.
That's right.
I don't even know if Facebook existed back then, but he put out a YouTube video. And it's funny because I'm trying to think if I may have still been doing actual news reporting back then before I got in the opinion side, but the press corps was pissed.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
They were mad because how dare he go straight to the voters? How dare he? Well, the media in Jeff City hated him, hated Matt Blunt. And you look back at Matt Blunt's tenure as governor, he did a pretty good job. A lot of people are too young to remember, but we were insulated in Missouri from some of the worst aspects of Obamacare because of some very proactive things that Matt Blunt's administration did to put in MoHealthNet. Now, that's getting real wonky into the weeds. I'm not going to go into that, but he went direct to the voters. And that was a good Democratic year, and he knew it. He knew he was going to lose to Jay Nixon.
2008.
Yeah, he knew Jay Nixon was going to win that race. And so, but the fact that he went around the media, but he controlled the message, that is a tactic, and one that could be really effective for the Harris-Walz campaign.
Yeah.
In this. So there's the what should you do? And you said what should be, Jerome. And you're right, but that's not what is. And we need to understand why what is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned with the memes and everything, Trump is definitely winning the meme war, but he's not. His team is not able to utilize that in the same way when it comes to directly appealing to the people that are his audience.
The left is terrible at memes.
Yeah, the left can't meme.
That's really weird. It's like it's the one thing that they are bad at.
Yeah,
when it comes to social terrible at memes.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like you actually control all of social media, but we can meme the crap out of you.
Yeah,
it's like what's wrong with you guys?
There is absolute. I don't understand why they are so bad at that.
Maybe it's because they're humorless commies.
Well, there's that.
I mean, it could be.
Yeah,
they're ideological morons and humorless commies.
So, but yeah, they are terrible.
Makes it difficult to judge.
It's horrible. All right, 314-912-1019. This is a fascinating thing, because I don't want people thinking that I am in favor of let's do campaigns through TikTok.
Oh gosh.
But I'm realistic enough to know TikTok's a big deal.
Yes.
Which is one of the reasons when Republicans and some Democrats, but a lot of Republicans said, let's ban TikTok. I'm going, you're gonna make it 10 to 12 years before Republicans can win back some of those votes, because you're trying to take away their TikTok. And by the way, if you have TikTok, delete it off your phone. It's terrible. Don't have it.
Yeah, it's Chinese spyware.
It is Chinese spyware. Don't do that. All right. Today is the 10-year anniversary of Michael Brown's death. About a half an hour from right now, a Unity Walk march is going to start. So I'm sure they're gathering at Normandy High School right now. So let's talk about what media narratives we're going to hear from that, and what to expect in your news and your social media feed versus the reality of the situation at 8:34.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Nice Friday on tap. A few clouds around this morning, but very pleasant temperatures and low humidity. The high this afternoon, 79 degrees under partly cloudy skies. How about 80 on Saturday, with some morning lows in the 50s Saturday morning in some of the cooler spots. Lots of sunshine around on Saturday. A little cloudy on Sunday and 82 degrees. Looks like the rain chance holds off until next week. Enjoy your weekend. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Fox News commentary.
Daily cannabis use overtakes alcohol as the top vice in America. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hey, Donald Trump Jr. here. Central banks are buying gold at record amounts, and the trend is accelerating in 2024. They see the writing on the wall. The dollar is failing. Is gold the answer for you too? To find out, get a free info kit from Birch Gold Group by texting the word SHELTER to 989898. That's SHELTER to the number 989898 to get your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust right now.
Message and data rates may apply.
For the first time, daily or near daily cannabis use has surpassed alcohol consumption as the preferred vice in America. This revelation comes courtesy of data collected by the National Survey on Drug Use and Health over 4 decades. As of 2022, the survey showed an estimated 17.7 million Americans are daily cannabis users, as compared to the 14.7 million who consume alcohol. That's also a 15-fold increase in the per capita rate of cannabis between 1992 and 2022. Look, I'm not saying that alcohol consumption is a better vice, but we still don't know the long-term impact of cannabis on the brain. And furthermore, with so many illegal and dangerous weed crops in the U.S., there's a lot more to be concerned about than just the generally lazy nature of a daily weed head. It'd also be nice to be able to walk down a major city street without smelling those nasty pot fumes. But hey, maybe that's just me. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
Loyalty means a lot at Ackerman Toyota. That's why during COVID, Ackerman refused to charge over sticker price, while others did. Ackerman stayed true to their customers, selling at or below manufacturer-suggested prices. Ackerman will get you what you want, and the service department has the same spirit. You come first. And thank you for making Ackerman Toyota number one in 2023. Ackerman Toyota, AckermanToyota.com. Ackerman Toyota for life.
Calling all Patriots. Join us for an unforgettable evening celebrating America's greatness at the Patriots Banquet. Honor our veterans, support our first responders, and meet Hollywood tough guy Marshall Teague, the infamous Jimmy Reno from Roadhouse. September 7th at 333 Vineyard in Washington, Missouri. Tickets include dinner and open bar. Upgrade to VIP for exclusive cocktails with Marshall. All proceeds support the Washington Guard's emergency response efforts. Reserve your spot now at thewashingtonguard.com.
Hey, Columbo here for the great team at All Solutions Pest Control. We've been using pest control services at our home for years, and the results we've had with All Solutions are second to none. So if you're experiencing a pest problem, or more importantly, want to prevent a problem, All Solutions Pest Control are the ones to call. Right now, you can take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer. Learn more and contact them now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
So what's going on?
Right here.
To me, this looks like the run-up to World War II.
News Talk STL.
They're playing with fire. Democrats are destroying the country.
News, analysis, opinion. The 80s.
Excellent.
Never been a decade like it. Never will be. It's Flashback Friday.
Huey Lewis.
Tell me, doctor, where are we going this time?
One thing I loved about Huey Lewis, and I say past tense because they're not going to tour anymore because, unfortunately, Huey Lewis has the hearing loss issue that he can't, he had to retire, is how much they used horns and horn section in his music.
I love that aspect of his music.
Yeah.
By the way, this is one of the reasons why Back to the Future trilogy is the best of all time, is the music. It just,
I can't argue with that.
Can you argue? I mean,
I cannot argue with that.
I mean, seriously. I mean, I think the only other trilogy of movies that stayed good throughout is like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Those are the only trilogies I think. Yeah, pretty much in movie history where it maintained quality throughout.
Yeah, because a lot of times
and
it's
Star
just
Wars.
but
largely.
There's
a couple of little.
Because at some
Ewoks
point there's
kinda,
diminishing returns, and we now know Hollywood's just completely run out of ideas. But they were full of ideas back in the 80s.
Oh, the 80s started all of the franchises that everybody loves.
Maybe we just had the best drugs back then. I don't know what it was, but
hey,
I mean,
Hollywood was hyped up on some cocaine back then.
Yeah, there was
some
great stuff going on. All right, 8:37 right now. Got Gabe here, got Jerome in for Stell today. So today is actually the 10-year anniversary of when Michael Brown got into that fight with police officer Darren Wilson and got killed.
Right.
And so literally in about 20 minutes, they're going to start what they call a unity walk, a march. Going to be a demonstration march is what it is.
Sure.
But they're calling it a unity walk.
Yeah.
They're gathering right now at Normandy High School, and then they're going to walk to Canfield.
Right.
Where Michael Brown was killed. And yes, I'm the conservative talk show host. Yes, I'm going to point out the fact that Michael Brown got himself killed.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
The St. Louis prosecutor's office at the time, Bob McCullough, who, by the way, was a Democrat, investigated, found that Darren Wilson acted in self-defense. And I'm not going to spend a bunch of time rehashing all that. We've all read that. Everybody's made up their mind on that. I also want to point out that Eric Holder was the attorney general at the time under the direction of Barack Obama. They did at least one. I think they did actually 2 investigations.
Yeah, they did.
People didn't like the results of the first one.
It was 2 investigations.
Yeah.
It was.
Because the first investigation came back and said, no, they got it right locally. This was a matter of self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so then there was another one, and they said, well, yeah, this is self-defense, but we found some other things that we don't like. And then there was a settlement with the city of Ferguson. Wesley Bell was a city councilman at Ferguson at the time. And then he, of course, goes on to get where he is now. And now he's headed to Congress in January.
Yeah, that second investigation was very like, hey, go back and find something because we can't afford to come away with nothing on this.
Right. And so I'm looking at, the media coverage of it, and almost all of the media coverage completely erases anything about Michael Brown contributing to his own death.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't that Michael Brown contributed to his own death. Michael Brown caused his own death.
Yes.
But that's not the narrative that you're going to hear today. It's not the narrative you're going to hear from the activist, which, you know what? Free speech, First Amendment, you got a right to say whatever you want. And I got a right to tell you that I think you're wrong, and we can have a debate. That's what we're supposed to do. Media in St. Louis and around the country, because you're going to see this on national news too.
Mm-hmm.
They are going to leave out the part where Darren Wilson acted in self-defense.
Absolutely.
Where Michael Brown attacked the police officer, because I think there are people who even accept that happened, and they just say, we don't care. It sparked a movement.
Mm-hmm. For change.
Yes. Change.
Mm-hmm.
And
progress.
Black Lives Matter came from this. A lot of Antifa activism came from this. This is where you saw the explosion in critical race theory being injected into schools and the academy. And then from there, the DEI, the 1619.
Everybody got a DEI office in their in their building, basically, after this.
But this was a nexus of where that stuff. I mean, those things were in the works. It didn't start with Ferguson 10 years ago.
Oh, no.
But that was the nexus that really accelerated it all over the country. So that did have a massive impact. And so much of it was intellectually dishonest.
It and the George Floyd one, they fueled this fire. They really did. And it caused a lot of destruction. And the destruction wasn't just the burning down of various buildings, including my AutoZone.
And that Quick Trip.
And the Quick Trip also, that I occasionally get the little taquitos from. And it didn't just contribute to deaths, multiple deaths because of these things. And we're talking about people killing each other, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
The destruction of businesses. And
we put together, David Dorn.
Yeah, David Dorn was killed because of the rioting there.
Mm-hmm.
The David Dorn Foundation, all this, that we talk to those people, every once in a while. But not only that kind of destruction, but like you said, that the inculcation of DEI sort of thinking and those ideas getting taught in schools and through getting the message being promoted through businesses and all of those things, all of that. These events were used as touchstones to accelerate the acceptance of those things. Everybody had the Black Lives Matter version of their icon, or their logo, and the businesses. Everybody's hey, there were mobs going around, accosting people who are dining outside. You have to say the words. Say Black Lives Matter. It's like, what? Whoa. What?
Right.
Am I pledging allegiance to your new God?
Well,
what are you doing?
People who were being forced to pledge, like being threatened with pledging allegiance.
That's what I'm saying.
That sort of thing. But here's the other thing, is that there were actually some few things that were actually constructive. For instance, we highlighted through all of this the fact that some cities, Normandy, Ferguson, Jennings, what's the other one, but that they
Spanish
were
Lake.
What's that?
Spanish Lake,
maybe some of those, that they were using predatory practices to do basically traffic stop to get the tickets, overriding tickets to get people into basically a debt to the system over. And so there were some of those things that were addressed. So if we're going to tell the complete story, we got to tell the complete story.
That's a silver lining, I suppose. Yeah.
A little tiny one.
But it's tiny.
It's a tiny one.
It's a really big dark cloud.
Because everything else at some point became, we don't care that we're lying. We have an agenda.
Yeah.
And change, capital C change, trademark, ended up overwhelming anything that related to, okay, how do we fix the issues? Because there would not have been what people call the Ferguson uprising if there wasn't something simmering. You don't invent that whole cloth. And I think there are some people, conservatives, to say, well, they just made it all up. Well, there was stuff happening.
There's some resentments there that have legitimate basis. Sure.
Yeah. And there was also resentments that were nonsense too. But you can say that and I can't. I mean, let's be honest.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You get canceled.
Even though I just said it. So come at me, bro. So you've got all of this mix of things that nobody wants to have any nuance. Grifters moved in, like Patrice Kohlers and, the people like that.
The Al Sharptons.
The Al Sharptons and the next generation, which is Benjamin Crump and all of these, people of the world. And so there were all of these things that came together because it was an opportunity. Many million, how many millions of people stopped being an NFL or NBA fan? Me. I would say how many stopped being a WNBA fan, but they didn't have it.
They didn't have it to start with. Yeah.
Because remember the hands up, don't shoot thing.
Oh gosh.
That was the St. Louis Rams.
Yes.
Players.
They came out
with their hands up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the moment where I went, and I wasn't even a Rams fan. I grew up being a Steelers fan and a diehard Steelers fan. And at that moment, I'm like, I'm done.
Right.
Then you get it, but that wasn't about the sport. That was about culture, because by then we knew that was based on a lie and nobody cared.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we going to see today?
Oh yeah, more lies. Absolutely. All kinds of lies. And just, on our monitors that we have going on here, there was just this brief little package they had of Mike Brown's dad, looking somberly at a memorial plaque on the ground someplace, talking about, we, just want to remember the laughs and the all. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, look, I get it. I understand when even people who have done bad things or not great people die in your life, you try to speak good of the dead.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, I know there are a lot of pastors who have lied from the pulpit at funerals because they're just trying to keep the, family from slipping further into depression because of their horrible, relative that died.
And you're trying to minister to them as well.
But so look, I get it on that level. But you're the news. You're not the pastor trying to minister to the family of somebody who died. It's like, hey, look, your son was a drug dealer and he died in a shootout with the other gang. I'm not going to talk about how wonderful it was that he was a gentle giant that everybody loved to laugh with. I'm not gonna sugarcoat you there. I'm not going to blow smoke up your rear end about that because I'm a journalist and I adhere to the truth. Now, they're not going to do that with Mike Brown. They're going to continue with the memorial garbage.
Who was the one that was yelling, "Burn this MFer down"? Who was that?
I think that was his dad.
Was that his dad that was doing
Same
that?
Guy. Yeah.
The one who was appearing in the TV ads for
Yes,
Cori Bush.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think so.
So you're going to see a lot of narrative stuff. You're going to see an attempt to reclaim the narratives that have been completely busted and proven false, but saying it over and over and over and over again, especially to a new generation who may not remember it the first time, is effective. May not be honest, but it's effective. That's what you're going to see today. All right. It's 8:47 here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
No matter how big the event, Capriotti's can take care of all of your business or personal catering needs. With party trays, box lunches, a meatball bar, shareable salads, plus desserts and sides. Easy ordering is available via the Capriotti's app. Check it all out at capriottis.com.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Cleathermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
Hello, Tim Jones here with Eric from Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Eric, your diamonds are so fantastic at Newsteaders. You named the website after them, wowdiamonds.com. Tell us about Wow Diamonds.
Well, we picked that name because when people look at the diamonds, they all exclaim the same thing. Everybody says, wow. And nobody can spell Newsteaders, so we figured Wow Diamonds would definitely be good tagline, and it's very accurate. We actually introduced the lab-grown diamond to our St. Louis family, and we're the exclusive home of the trademarked Wow Diamond. It's the most perfectly cut and polished diamond you'll ever experience, and we can fit one into anyone's budget. The thing that's nice about them is they're significantly less expensive than a mined diamond, and of course the artwork is in the cutting and polishing. That's where you get the beauty in the diamond, and that's what we excel at.
Newsteaders, a St. Louis jewelry tradition since 1961. Stop by and find out why. 2961 Daughtery Ferry Road, or on the internet, wowdiamonds.com for Newsteaders Fine Jewelers.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL. Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton. Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Hey, it's Friday, and at 5:20, Dr. Aaron Hudlin, Chief Economist at the Show Me Institute.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL. The 80s.
Bueller.
The 80s.
Let's go while we're young.
Never been a decade like it.
Shall we play a game?
Never will be.
Where are the dates?
It's Flashback Friday.
Jerome, you said you're a drummer.
Yes, sir.
Are you a cowbell kind of drummer too?
Oh, I gotta have the cowboy.
Gotta have the cowboy. Hey, we got to correct something real quick.
Yeah, that's right.
Because I want to make sure I get it right. Michael Brown Sr. was not the guy yelling
Burn this
MFer down.
Yeah.
It was not Michael Brown Sr.
Right. It was Michael Brown's stepdad.
Right. Okay.
The husband of his mom.
Right. Okay. Got it. So I want to get that out there.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks,
so
John Michael, for correcting.
Last few minutes we got here. Listen, it's Friday. I'm all about decompressing here. We got a lot of heavy stuff that's going on. There's going to be a lot of heavy stuff today with the Michael Brown stuff. But can I just point out that it's okay to decompress and disconnect from it just a little bit? I'm going to a concert tonight. If you're going to be out at Riverport tonight or whatever it's called, now Hollywood Casino Amphitheater, I'm going to be out there. Creed's playing tonight, and you can make fun of me for going to see Creed if you want. My boss made fun of me yesterday. You remember what he said?
No,
he goes, what next? You're going to go see Nickelback after this?
Oh,
yes, I would go see Nickelback.
Nickelback,
this, I'm just saying. But yeah, Creed and Three Doors Down is playing tonight.
Oh, Three Doors Down.
So yeah, it's going to be a good show. I'm looking forward to that.
Kryptonite. I like the Kryptonite song from them.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites of theirs, by the way.
I think it was, I saw Three Doors Down. I think that's who I saw open up for Van Halen when nobody had really heard of him.
Oh, wow.
Forever ago. I was in college. So this was the 90s. When I saw him, I think that was Three Doors Down. I'm trying to remember it. I think it was, of course, this was going back to a time in concerts where you did not record it all with your phone. You just went to the concert and enjoyed the concert. So what I'll do tonight is I will snap my picture when the band comes out, and then I'll put the phone back in my pocket and enjoy the show. I don't need to prove to you that I was there, but if we're friends on like Facebook or Twitter, whatever, I'll put it up there. But we'll do that. So I'm going to go see that show tonight, then just play some baseball this afternoon or Saturday afternoon and try to sleep through Sunday because I'm tired. But it's okay to decompress, man. It's okay to disconnect. You're obviously doing Randy Topler's show tomorrow morning from 6 to 9.
Yep, and I don't know. I'm kind of hoping something happens now, so we have something interesting to report tomorrow. Not that I want anything horrible to happen last time, but it seems like everything interesting already gets covered throughout the week, and we end up being almost like a recap show.
Yeah, but that's interesting because there's a fine line. You don't want. We used to call it spot news back when I was a journalist, which is your shooting, your wreck, your fire, your thing. You've got to run to a specific thing because something happened. And you wanted to be all over it if it happened, but you don't want to root for something like that to happen. But Randy has such a great way of dissecting culture.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And so that's why you don't want to miss that program. I all of us kind of, make appearances on the show from time to time. And Randy lets me go into a bigger picture than we've generally got time to do, during the week in a drive time show. So, I hope people enjoy it when we have those conversations.
Yeah. The doctor is good at dissecting.
Yeah, he is. He really is. But yeah, I mean, so, I'm going to go see the show tonight. I've actually, seen a lot of people say, because Creed reunited after all these years, that apparently whatever they're doing with this concert is a really good show.
That's what I keep hearing.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I've never seen him live before. I mean, Mark Tremonti, the guitar player, he's a pretty kick-ass guitar player.
Well, when you're done, you got to come back and tell us if they can take you higher.
That's right. I will come back and embrace it with arms wide open. I'm going to be spitting the truth like bullets, which I think is what they're going to open the show with.
You can be in the audience thinking, what if I?
True. Deep thinking stuff here. Yeah.
Oh my
precisely.
gosh.
Yeah, I know.
Why are we like this?
I don't know.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
But I'm glad everybody out there enjoys it as well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing, is there are people especially on times like this, when you're going to have the Michael Brand, there are people who live their lives angry.
Yeah.
Listen, there's stuff that I am mad about in the world.
Oh,
there's
sure.
stuff that I am sad about in the world. There's stuff I'm optimistic about in the world. But if you don't have some kind of bigger picture or life balance, you're going to make yourself miserable. It's okay to disconnect and high five the person you work against on the political realm.
Yeah.
I used to tell the story, I go to a Cardinals game, and for 2.5 hours, you could be next to a purple-haired LGBT rainbow-wearing whatever, I'm with her sort of person. And when Tommy Pham hits a home run, you high-five the person because you're Cardinals fans.
Right.
At that point. We have to be able to have that in our lives, to have some of that balance. And I actually have people get mad at me. It's like, don't you know what's at stake? Yes, I do.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of that too. I mean, I guess one of my means by which I keep from going crazy with this stuff is I have a sort of gallows humor about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. As part of this job, we do a lot of research. We do a lot of, looking into what's coming through the culture and all that stuff. All the things that's collapsing all around us. Like if I told you everything that I've come across that makes it seem as though America and American culture and Western culture in general around the planet is coming to an end and all these other things, it's like, I gotta laugh sometimes. It's like, hey, look, here we go again. Another war in the Middle East.
We actually literally live in the most prosperous time in human history.
And then there's that.
Really,
there's the perspective
the safest,
aspect.
Most prosperous time in human
The
history.
perspective is very important.
But last, we got about a minute or so. You got challenged on something. You got a text message just challenged you on something.
I did?
Yeah, because remember, Chris.
Oh,
Chris
yeah, that's right.
Arps texted you.
That's right. The greatest trilogy. I said,
Back
to the Future is among the, along with Lord of the Rings, greatest trilogies in terms of being having consistent quality across all three movies. And that's kind of my criteria for being a greatest trilogy. And I think you said
holding up.
Holding up. Yeah, exactly. Now, his challenge is the Godfather trilogy. And I had to say it like that because he has 50 exclamation points.
Okay, so I'm not going to make a vote on who I think's right or wrong, but I think he's got a defensible position.
It's arguable. It's arguable.
Yep.
Now he challenged. He said, "Hey, look, it's got 2 Best Picture awards."
That's true.
It's like debate settled, and I'm like, look, it's only because the Academy has a bias against sci-fi and fantasy movies, and I think that's true because Lord of the Rings, the last movie got all the awards, but each movie could have gotten each of those awards.
So
I'm just saying.
But it also goes back to, on this Flashback Friday, the era itself had so much more creativity in all of the arts.
Oh, yeah, in the 80s?
Yeah,
absolutely.
In the 80s. I think so. All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here in about 6 minutes. If you're going to be at the show tonight, at the Creed show, find me. Let's say hi. Talk to you then.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones, for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I could say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home.